Chapter 444, Domineering. Chapter 444, Domineering. Yang Zhuo was stunned, wearing a disbelieving look. He looked at Shi Yan and said, "Little Yan, you aren't joking, are you?" Yang Mu and the others also looked surprised and dumbstruck. They all realized that Shi Yan had a cultivation base of Sky Realm, and even Shi Yan had admitted it. With the cultivation base of Sky Realm, together with the power of the demonic insects, it was more than enough to handle a warrior like Julan Xen. However, if it were against Bao Wen, it seemed he might overestimate his strength. Sky Realm and Spirit Realm were considerably different. The gap could hardly be measured. It was extremely easy for a Spirit Realm warrior to cope with or even kill a Sky Realm warrior. Only if a Sky Realm warrior who wanted to confront a Spirit Realm warrior had the peak of his Sky Realm cultivation base, perhaps it could be a trace of possibility. However, it was almost impossible for a first Sky Realm warrior to confront a Spirit Realm warrior. It was not that Yang Zhuo and his people didn't have confidence in Shi Yan, but the way he said it was really appalling. They couldn't believe that Shi Yan was able to deal with Bao when given his current realm, let alone the patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan. "We can't joke about this kind of matter." Shi Yan smiled and assured Yang Zhuo and the others, "Uncle, don't be worried. I obviously have a good backup when I say this. Julan Xan surely has to die today. It's fine if Bao Wen doesn't come. But if he comes, I will kill him as well." As soon as Shi Yan finished his words, everyone's faces immediately changed. On the platform, Shi Yan beamed a gentle smile and kept his relaxed look. It seemed like he did not care about the famous Bao Wen. He watched Julan Xan down there, quietly waiting. The warriors in Barren City had surrounded Julan Xan, but they were all hesitating. Under Julan Xan's threat, no one dared to take the first move. The fame of the Spirit Realm warrior, Bao Wen, was enough to deter everyone. Shi Yan was not anxious, but deliberately standing on the platform. After waiting for a while, seeing none of those warriors dare to take action, he thundered, "Hurry up! Time is almost up. If Julan Xan is not dead, ha ha ha, you guys will die before her." Everyone down there all felt chilled in their hearts. "I gave you time. As long as you take action, Julan Xan will certainly die. I'll wait a little more. Let's see what you guys will do." Shi Yan smiled. "Although Bao Wen is powerful, he isn't here anyway. If you're scared of him, after killing Julan Xan, you can leave Barren City right away. I don't think that Bao Wen dares to chase after you to the endless sea." "Little brat, don't bully me." Julan Xan wore a cold face while looking at him. "If you dare to do anything to me, Bao Wen will definitely not forgive you. If you care for the Yang family, you'd better let me go soon. Let me tell you this, Bao Wen stays near Barren City. I have sent the message. He will be here shortly. You should be obedient, and I will ensure everyone is safe later." Yang Zhuo's face changed. The other Yangs were also frightened, subconsciously looking here and there towards Barren City. They felt that Bao Wen was hiding in the crowd and could show himself at any time. They knew that Bao Wen was wicked and cruel, and that once he came here and got indignant, he would slaughter everyone. The Yang family situation now was not as good as before. If they still had Yang Tian Emperor here, they wouldn't be afraid of Bao Wen. However, the news that Yang Tian Emperor was imprisoned in the demon area had been spread out throughout the endless sea. Even those tribes on the seabed also knew it. If Bao Wen were still afraid of the Yang family, he would not secretly support Julan Xan. Apparently, they had to be careful with a Spirit Realm warrior who could turn heaven and earth upside down and determine the world situation. "Oh!" Shi Yan burst out laughing. He looked around and spoke up loudly. "Where's Bao Wen? If you're here, show yourself. If you come late, you can only pick up this woman's dead body." Everyone was startled in fear because of his arrogance. This man was only at the Sky Realm, and under the other warriors' attention. He dared to call Bao Wen by his name, also saying such outrageous words. Although his strength might be not as powerful as Baowin, his guts were big enough to make everyone admire him. Yen, don't act recklessly. If you do so, the Water Scorpion clan will not let it go. We know the Water Scorpion clan's spleen. They are extremely vengeful. If you're too provocative like this, the Yang family will not get anything good. Listen to me. Let it go, let that woman go. It's the best for you. A cold and clear voice suddenly came up from behind the crowd. Fei Ye of the Naga tribe slowly appeared together with another 5 male Nagas. Farther away, some other Sea tribes members from various races with different appearances also exposed themselves quietly. The Sea tribes masters who did business in Barren City had known that the Yang family would have a big change today. They used to have a neglectful attitude, as they thought that the Yang family would be removed from the city today. They eagerly waited for the situation to be steadied before coming and cleaning up the Yang family's belongings. However, Yan's clamor that came from the Yang's complex was really arrogant, which surprised some Sea tribes members who were secretly gathering, as they didn't know what was really happening. With their curiosity, they all came closer to have a better look and realized the situation here was not going as they had imagined. The dead bodies of Ming Hai, Fu Hao, and Yen Feng lay at the most eye-catching place in the crowd. The Sea tribe's masters came over to see, and their looks immediately changed just after a quick glance. They subconsciously looked at Yen on the platform with batting eyes and astonishment. Is that kid who killed Ming Hai and the others? It's impossible. This guy's still young. How can he be the opponent of the 3 of them? What happened? More than 10 Sea tribesmen were very confused, curiously assuming the situation. I don't need the Naga tribe to be involved in my business. Yen laughed unruly and declared loudly, I'll be here today to see how many Sea tribes members have wicked intentions towards the Yang family. I'll put those evil thoughts down. You're too arrogant. Brat, you dare to provoke our Sea tribes? Do you think you are Yang Tian Emperor? I can see that you don't want to live anymore. Even when Yen Tian Emperor was still powerful, he still had to be polite when facing us. And what are you to be impudent? Do you want to die? Brat, get out of Barren City. This place doesn't welcome you. Get out of Barren City. For the time being, the Sea tribes members were full of rage. They scolded and shouted at Yen. Yen sneered and grunted. You guys don't deserve to talk to me. I'm too lazy to care about you. When the Yang family was still strong, they had done many things for the Sea tribes members on the ocean floor. All the materials that the Sea tribes lacked came from the Yang family. It could be said that the Yang family's existence was beneficial to the Sea tribes, and that the submarine members got a lot of benefits. Right now, when the Yang family had declined, the Sea tribes no longer remember the favors they had and even manipulated puppets like Lan Xan, seeking the Yang family's cultivating materials. They bluntly suppressed and tried to occupy the Yangs. That made Yen hate them, having an unfriendly impression toward the Sea tribes. He also figured out that it was not a big deal to evacuate from Barren City, or at most destroying the whole city if he was so irritated. He could temporarily take the Yangs to the divine Great Land to avoid the current wars in the Endless Sea. Anyway, he was not scared of them turning their back to the Sea tribes. That was why he was that arrogant and impudent. Yen, you're too arrogant. What you're doing just makes the situation worse. Fei Ye showed a cold face, shook her head, and stopped persuading him. Time's running out. If Lan Xian's not dead, you guys will die before her. Yan's face darkened when he spoke. Who dares to kill Bao Wen's woman? A voice arose from the southeast of Barren City. A gray figure quickly flew over from the clouds. The water steam above Barren City rapidly condensed, and in the middle of the mist appeared gray shadow. A harsh and cold atmosphere enveloped Barren City entirely, agitating everyone's soul. It was producing an uncomfortable feeling like being watched by a scorpion. As soon as the voice faded, the warriors who were hesitant to take action changed their facial expression instantly and quickly moved away from Ju Lan Xan. Ju Lan Xan, who was in panic and fright, immediately relaxed as soon as she heard that voice, as if she just took a tranquilizer. She smiled and flashed her enchanting figure, meandering her body, and then shouted prettily, "I'm here." Ha ha ha. I didn't expect the Yangs to have such an arrogant kid. Really interesting. The gray shadow in the mist grinned and released a cold aura. A strong, surging spirit suddenly shrouded all the Yangs. The complexions of Yang Zhuo and other Yang warriors immediately changed right at the moment they heard his voice, revealing a panicked look. Precursor Bao Wen, this kid is harsh-spoken. He despises our sea tribes. He deserves to die thousands of times. Kill this kid so these people would know who have the voice here on the seabed. Kill him. Kill him. As soon as those sea tribes members saw Bao, one of the Water Scorpion clan, they all got excited and shouted out loud. Ha ha ha. You rest assured that since I come here today, I will crush this kid to death. Bao Wen burst into laughter, despising Shuryen and then ridiculing him. It's unexpected that the Yang family can have such a good seedling. Unfortunately, he's going to be destroyed in my hands. Ha ha ha. Eradicating the Yang family's hope of revitalizing in the future's also a big pleasure. Chapter 445. Attention. Chapter 445. Attention. Bao Wen grinned and finally appeared above the Yangs, turned into a beam of light, and landed next to Ju Lan Xan. You finally come. Ju Lan Xan smiled and said shyly, I even thought that you don't love me anymore. You haven't shown up lately, and I have been longing for you for too long. Bao Wen cracked a lustful smile, stretched his hands to pat her rear end. My little beauty, I was just outside talking to the other fellows. That's why I came a little bit late, making you wait for so long. Why wouldn't I love you anymore? Here I am. It's good that you came. Ju Lan Xan had a broad smile that squeezed her eyes into two thin lines. She then raised her head, looking at Shuryen, and coldly said that Brad instructed other people to kill me, and even said that even if you came, you couldn't stop the fact that he would kill me. Ju Lan Xan wore a callous look. Bao Wen grinned. A 2-meter-long scorpion tail jutted out behind his back. It curved and swayed in the air, producing a burst of chilling, surging energy that froze everyone's heart. He glared at Shuryen and said calmly, only a young guy at the sky realm dares to be defiant toward our sea tribes. Human warriors really don't know life and death, or who's the real master on the seabed. After talking, Bao Wen's eyes suddenly flashed. A bunch of gray energy light burst out. The mixture of the energy light and surging spirit was like a sword, directly piercing Shuryen's sea of consciousness and seeming to wash it away. Soul attack, Shuryen smiled, shaking his head. This kind of soul attack is the one I'm afraid the least of. I thought you have more than that. You have disappointed me. Bao Wen's spiritual attack dashed all the way straight to Shuryen and instantly covered him. Surging spirit massively swamped into his sea of consciousness. In his sea of consciousness, Shuryen's host soul suddenly opened its third eye. The soul-devouring flame from the 9 serenities, soul-devouring flame, suddenly burst out, rushing towards the soul attack that was attacking his sea of consciousness. Like ice being melt under boiling water, all of the energy that struck his sea of consciousness was quickly burned down. Not a single trace of the soul consciousness remained. Bao Wen's vicious eyes suddenly flashed a sign of misery. He held his head with one hand while his face changed dramatically as he cried, Kid, you can destroy my soul consciousness. As I already said, whoever comes here today cannot avoid death. Shuryen wore a cold face, sneered, and then pointed to Bao Wen. Eat him. A bunch of light suddenly flew out from Ming Hai's body. The king of demonic insects instantly appeared and stormed toward Baowen. The king of demonic insects, level 8 beast. Some Sea Tribes warriors who knew the origin of the king of demonic insects couldn't help but exclaim in fear, expressing frightened faces. The king of demonic insects was a level 8 beast that could be compared to a spirit realm warrior. As it had been gone through many years of arduous cultivation, its strength was not much lower than that of a second sky of spirit realm human warrior. It also knew soul attacks. As soon as the king of demonic insects came out, energy fluctuations diffused and enveloped Barren City entirely. Immediately, all the warriors were affected. They realized that their consciousness was a little fuzzy, and their spirit became difficult to concentrate. It was because the king of demonic insects' surging spirit had aimed at Baowen only. If it spread all of its spiritual power, the warriors would suffer more tragically. Baowen's face also changed and became serious. Seeing the king of demonic insects dashing over, he cried, "You rely on a level 8 beast. No wonder why you're that arrogant." Baowen didn't dare to neglect and quickly launched all of his powers. His scorpion tail made sizzling sounds and rippling lights that naked eyes could see, forming a beam of light that shot towards the king of demonic insects. In that light beam, the king of demonic insects' speed slowed down, but it still kept dashing towards Baowen. Baowen's scorpion tail urged the strength. Baowen's face convulsed, and a strange piece of mask quickly grew up on his face. A sinister aura was released from him, which made the area surrounding him explode continually. Some structures of the Yang's building were shaken, apparently getting affected from his energy. Once a spirit realm warrior released his power, it could affect the movement of heaven and earth energy. The energy that Baowen gathered made the vital force at the bottom of the sea stir up, resulting in a huge change in the sea that rose all the water around. Baowen shouted, wanting to cross the king of demonic insects to directly behead Yen. The king of demonic insects seemed to know his intention. When he launched his power, many powerful spiritual energy fluctuations suddenly lined up and darted towards Baowen. Baowen was flying over, but then suddenly became stagnant in the void while his face showed a pained look. Yen stood on the platform, coldly looking at Baowen, the king of demonic insects, and then Lan Xen. He sneered, revealing a confident look as if he wanted to say, "You would not be able to escape from my hands." Seeing Baowen be hindered by a level 8 beast, the Sea Tribe's warriors who were waiting around all had a surprised visage. At this moment, they know that Yen feared nothing because he had a level 8 beast. Those who wanted to take the opportunity to launch their attacks had to be docile, and quietly moved backward on seeing the king of demonic insects. Watching Baowen and Yang fight, 700 human warriors were secretly relieved, quietly moving away as they were afraid that the battle would affect them, making them its innocent victims. Feiya and the 5 male Nagas frowned, gradually moving away from the battlefield and coming closer to the Yang family's building. A figure wearing bamboo veiled hat with a black tunic suddenly appeared next to Feiya. She reached out to stop Feiya from moving backward, then asked with a low voice, "What happened?" Feiya turned her head to look at the woman. She immediately had a shocked face, hurriedly wanting to bow down. The woman of the Naga tribe waved her hand. No need to conduct the formal greetings. Matriarch. The faces of the 5 male Nagas changed as they stood motionlessly, not knowing if they should bow down or not. Do not conduct the formal greetings. I happened to pass here and heard the noise, so I come to check the situation. The bamboo hat and the black tunic had covered her entire face and body. Her voice was mild and seemed to have the magical soothing effect. When her voice arose, Feiya and the other 5 males were all silent. "Tell me what you know," the woman asked softly. Feiya Ye quickly nodded, slightly bent down, revealing a look of flattery, and then hastened to tell her about the situation related to Shiryen. That woman nodded gently. When Fei finished, she was astonished for a while, and then spoke up strangely. I didn't expect that after him. The Yang family still has such a monster. Seems even if he completely disappears, the Yang family will not decline fast. Matriarch, that guy is really powerful. He's at the Sky Realm, but could easily kill the 2 silver-horned electric eels. It's terrific, Feya interpreted. First sky of Sky Realm, the woman of the Naga tribe muttered, slightly raised her head. She watched Shiryen for a while before saying solemnly, even if a first sky of Sky Realm warrior launches his full power, he can't kill 2 silver-horned electric eels even in an hour. If he could do it that fast, it means his strength is certainly not just at the Sky Realm. The Yangs usually have some magical means. I think this kid isn't simple. Matriarch, Feya looked at the woman and asked for her opinion. Waving her hand covered by a glove, the Naga tribe woman casually said, "Do not take any action. We just watch. There is not only Bao Wen who is coming here. I think Bao Ke will also be here shortly. We just stay here and watch. The patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan is also coming." Feya and the others couldn't help but shout. Yes, the woman nodded and said, the Yang family has to be removed from Barren City today. Their cultivating materials may become ownerless. It's unexpected if some people have wicked intentions. However, with the current situation, the calculation of many people might fail. Is it true? Feya looked at Shiryen with disbelieving eyes and said with surprise, "That guy only has the cultivation base of Sky Realm. If the patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan comes here, what can he do? I think the Water Scorpion clan's patriarch will kill him instantly without any surprise. Such an arrogant person like him certainly doesn't have just that little strength. Let's watch. That guy is very lucky. I really didn't expect that the Yang family have this folded card. Seems like my guess is correct. Many people have made wrong calculations as they all thought that since that guy has been imprisoned in the demon area, he will not be able to retake the lead." The Snake Tribe's matriarch quietly sighed and commented with a sad tone. Feya and the others knew the relationship between her and Yang Tian Emperor. So, on listening to what she said, they all mused and didn't dare to have any ideas. Outside the Yang family's walls, many clans of the Sea Tribes were slowly gathering. It seemed that all the Sea Tribes' hotshots dwelling in Barren City already knew about the situation here. Intimidating aura rippled from time to time from the city. It was unknown how many Sea Tribe supreme hotshots were hiding in Barren City, using special ways to conceal their auras and secretly observing the situation that was happening with the Yang family. The young man, who is now the focus of everyone, was standing upright like a sharp sword plugged into the platform of the Yang family's main building. He wore a cold face while smirking. With such a big and noisy incident like this, everyone will probably come here. I also want to see if these Sea Tribes people are fools or not. Chapter 446. Arch the Eyebrow. Chapter 446. Arch the Eyebrow. In the Barren City Center. Many hotshots of the Sea Tribes gathered, as well as human warriors. They were all watching the battle, which was worth being written in the Sea Tribes' history. Almost 2/3 of the Barren City's warriors were here. They either came before the fight or after hearing the news. They were all gathering outside the Yang family's walls, looking at a strange young man. The young man stood proudly on the platform with a calm appearance. Under the crowd's attention, he was not distressed, but very relaxed. He had released the demonic insect to hinder Bao Wen of the Water Scorpion clan, preventing Bao Wen from coming close to him. A first sky of Spirit Realm Warrior was blocked by a level 8 beast. He couldn't chop off that demonic insect. On the contrary, he kept retreating. Eventually, Bao Wen showed a sign of not being able to resist any longer. This change terrified many Sea tribes members, which changed their attitude towards the Yangs. Even if a dominant force had declined, its intimidation would exist for life. They thought that as Yang Tian Emperor was in confinement of the Demon Kings, it would lead to a major change for the Yang family. However, in the most difficult time, a young man appeared from nowhere. As soon as he launched his blow, he immediately caused the tragic deaths of Ming Hai, Yan Feng, and Fu Hao. Moreover, he released a level 8 demonic beast that brought Bao Wen a miserable time. This huge contrast frightened all the warriors who thought that the Yang family would be removed from the barren city today. Those who stayed hidden in the dark with the intention of having a share of the cultivating materials didn't want to show up now, as they continued to hide their auras, waiting to see the situation before making their decision. As I said, whoever comes here today should die. On the platform, Shi Yan suddenly became impatient, thundering with cold eyes. Jiu Lan Xian's graceful body trembled. She suddenly had a feeling of insecurity and moved back subconsciously, looking for protection. Unfortunately, even Bao Wen was blocked by the king of demonic insects this time. Basically, he couldn't provide her any protection. Hearing Shi Yan shout, it was the first time she had a bad feeling. Shi Yan's performance was completely beyond her expectation. How could she expect that Shi Yan had the king of demonic insects that was able to suppress even Bao Wen? Don't you dare make any moves against me, or you will regret it afterward. Jiu Lan Xian gritted and shouted crazily, trying to show her toughness, which was contrary to what she felt inside. You said that before, Shi Yan spouted. The reason why I had been waiting that long was for Bao Wen to show himself. I want to let you know that after betraying the Yang family, even if you have someone's protection, you can't escape death. After pausing for a moment, Shi Yan suddenly smiled. Now it's time for your death. Right after Shi Yan finished his words, a small gravitational field hovering above Jiu Lan Xian was activated all of a sudden. Jiu Lan Xian's body shot straight up to the sky. The gravitational field stirred up her profound qi, preventing her from activating the defensive barrier. Seeing the fatal end results of the others, she immediately cried in fear. Save me! Save me! She was calling for Bao Wen. Unfortunately, Bao Wen heard it, but couldn't save her. The king of demonic insects had urged its force, as numerous silver light beams showered him. Each dot of light contained rich demonic power, along with the spirit of the king of demonic insects. Hence, although Bao Wen could see Jiu Lan Xian screaming for help, he didn't have enough energy to give her a hand. That's your end. Shi Yan burst into laughter, revealing a happy face. An end by dismemberment. Many beams of golden light shot out around Jiu Lan Xian. The moment the golden silky fibers appeared, they immediately cut Jiu Lan Xian's delicate body off. There was no surprise. Jiu Lan Xian's plump and mesmerizing body was cut into countless small pieces by the golden silk and then fell into the gravitational field. Jiu Lan, she was dismembered thoroughly. The sea tribes and human warriors around all felt chilled to the bone. They were mute instantly. The sea tribes members who shouted the loudest just now were frightened to death. They didn't dare to even look at Shi Yan. They were afraid that Shi Yan would suddenly take action and chop them off. As I said, no one can save you today. Shi Yan shook his head tenderly, as if he had just done some trivial stuff. He still kept calm. That Bao Wen, Yang Zhuo muttered with a solemn face. Anyway, he's Bao Ke's brother, with fame and a high status in the Water Scorpion clan. If you fight Bao Wen, the patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan will not let you go. The Yang family's manpower in Barren City isn't enough to cope with the Water Scorpion clan. Shi Yan, isn't it a little too much if you do that? If the patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan wants to fight with us just because of AB*TCH, I think he should step down from his position. Shi Yen smiled and assured softly, "Uncle, no worries. I know the limit. The sea, tribes look down on the Yangs and secretly oppresses us when we are in a hard situation. I do this because I want to let them know that although our great-grandpa hasn't come back yet, I still can cause them an unimaginable disaster." Yang Zhuo looked startled. Yang Mu, Yang Shui, and the others felt motivated. Everyone clenched their fists and felt a pride they hadn't felt in quite a while. "This fella really makes people," Li Feng's eyes sparkled, looking at Shi Yan. She chuckled, as she felt that Shi Yan's charm could actually mesmerize her mind now. Men in their powerful times naturally had a unique charm. Li Feng had lived in the Yang family for a long time. She always advocated force and also worked hard on this aspect herself. Shi Yan's performance today impressed her deeply, making her realize Shi Yan's charm. "Little Feng, your heart's rippling with love. Ha ha ha." Yang Shui laughed and said gently, "Little Yan belongs to the Yang family. If you're attracted to him, I'm sure I'll help you. With his charm, he can mesmerize all the girls in the endless sea in the future. You need to work hard on it. Don't let the outsiders seduce him." "Talking nonsense." Li Feng blushed, aggressively looked at her close friend, and said softly, "If you keep talking nonsense, I will have no mercy for you." Yang Shui smiled, not being afraid of Li Feng's threat, continuing to tease her. Shi Yan's face remained unchanged. He just beamed a smile, pretending not to overhear these women's conversation. He just looked down and secretly released his soul consciousness to observe around. "Not only has Bao Wen come here today," Shi Yan turned around, looking at Yang Zhuo, and said, "It seems I don't have to go anywhere else. For the Yang family to continue its dominance in Barren City or not, we have to see whether those people have the courage and power." Yang Zhuo's eyes lit up. He said pleasedly, "What do you mean?" "I think that many sea tribes' hotshots will use their secret ways to observe us. Perhaps the patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan might be present among them. If these people are hostile and take action together, Yang Zhuo was worried. "I don't think they will," Shi Yan frowned. "It's a little risky. We can take risk one time. At most, we will just need to leave Barren City." "Kid, you dare to kill my woman? I'm going to kill you." Seeing Zhu Lan Xian's death, Bao Wen was enraged and roared. "She's just a B** to Sage. I already killed her, so what can you do?" Shi Yan stopped talking to Yang Zhuo, beamed a smile, and lifted his hand to summon the king of demonic insects. "Get back here." The king of demonic insects turned into a beam of silver light, leaving Bao Wen, and then reappeared on the platform of the Yang family's building. At the same time, Shi Yan didn't take action personally. He took a deep breath while his eyes became dark red, looking at the sea tribes and human warriors down there. His line of sight shifted to Bao Wen. "Even if I don't have the king of demonic insects and still want to fight with you, do you think you can stop me?" These words were very arrogant. All of sea tribes and human warriors were stunned, wearing a strange expression on their faces, as they wondered if this kid were insane or not. He didn't know life or death indeed. He was only at the first sky of Sky Realm, but dared to say those arrogant words. Did he really want to challenge Bao Wen? Was he crazy? Everyone had an odd feeling about it. "Without the king of demonic insects, you cannot even fart. I will kill you with my own hands." Bao Wen was so indignant that he wanted to vomit blood. He went ballistic. "Kid, come down here if you dare to see how I finish you." "I'm coming." Shi Yan suddenly flew up from the platform of the Yang family's building, and then proudly paced in the void towards Bao Wen. "Shi Yan, don't act recklessly." All the Yangs couldn't help but scream in fear, as they didn't believe that he could fight one-on-one with Bao Wen without the king of demonic insects. A Sky Realm warrior confronting a Spirit Realm warrior. How could he win? He was overreaching himself. "It's all right." Shiryen turned his head and smiled with full of confidence. "Uncle, I'll let you see how powerful the ability to fight against the higher level of the Yang family is." Yang Zhuo looked dulled. Yang Mu and the others were also stunned. "Well," Bao Wen grinned and shouted, "if you can use your Sky Realm cultivation base to take one shot of mine, I will ignore the animosity of you killing my woman. Moreover, I will continue to recognize the hegemony of the Yang family in Barren City. As long as I'm still here, I can assure that all of the Sea Tribe's members will agree with this." "Sure. Yes. That's settled then." Chapter 447 Must Change. Chapter 447 Must Change. Many people thought that Shiryen was crazy. How could a first Sky Realm warrior fight against a Spirit Realm warrior? With such a big gap, how could he win? On the platform of the Yang family's building, Yang Mu and the others all looked worried, as they didn't know what Shiryen was capable of. The Sea Tribes and human warriors also revealed frightened faces, attentively looking at him and quietly waiting for something. "Matriarch, is this guy insane?" In the crowd, Faye shook her head gently, expressing an amazed look. The beautiful Naga woman with the bamboo veil had seemed to be quietly watching Shiryen, to see if he had any earth-shaking treasures. "Such an arrogant kid. He either has a mental problem or mighty strength. I don't think this guy's innocent. He must have some support. We just need to be quiet and watch," the beautiful Naga woman said with a voice full of expectations. Some Sea Tribe's hotshots, who mingled in the crowd while hiding their real auras, also frowned. For the time being, everyone's eyes gazed at only one person. Under the crowd's attention, Shiryan's eyes reddened. He triggered his mind to connect with the blood vein ring, releasing a strong soul consciousness to cooperate with it. Before taking action, he had connected with the blood vein ring. Although the soul in the blood vein ring didn't send out an exact response, he knew that the ring would help him when necessary. Sure enough, after his consciousness circled the blood vein ring, the ice-cold flame, the earth flame, and the Holy Spirit God, the three living beings suddenly had a strange change. Three groups of strange energies wrapped around the three creatures in just a flash. A kind of surging energy that frightened people's souls immediately flowed out from them. A vast, infinite, powerful energy spread out from the blood vein ring and instantly poured into Yan's abdomen. The ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, and the earth flame fused together, interweaving with a bunch of his profound qi, which looked like a yin-yang fish diagram. It was transporting a terrifying energy that even spirit realm warriors had to be worried about. Yan's eyes were bloodshot. Negative energy overflowed torrentially, and its strength quickly grew up. The aura of the mystical giant's sword suddenly arose from the blood vein ring. The sword turned into a bunch of blood lights, came out from his palms. A violent, evil, crazy energy spread out. At this moment, the surging energy caused unimaginable changes. "I also want to see how you resist my attack." Yen grinned, feeling the torrential energy movement, and then concentrated his power into the sword. The eyes on the sword gradually opened, having a terrifying red color. They looked like dormant demons in hell coming to earth. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The massive protective halo above Barren City produced strange noises. This halo was built by spirit realm warriors, yet it seemed to be unable to withstand these powerful surging energies, showing a sign of rupture. The faces of the Sea Tribe's warriors changed, while their eyes suddenly brightened up. The eyes of the matriarch of the Naga tribe sparked with a strange light. She screamed, such powerful surging energy. Faye was surprised, feeling a vehement energy flow that quickly spread out in all directions. Many Sea Tribe's warriors were painful faces on feeling that violent energy moving. They suddenly felt that even breathing was difficult, as if there was a lofty mountain pressing their heads down, making their knees so flabby that they all almost kneeled on the ground. "Be careful! Stay away from that kid. God, how could it be? How can that kid have such violent energy? Did I just have an illusion? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. It's impossible for a Sky Realm warrior to have such a powerful force." Whether it was the sea tribes or humans, everyone screamed in fear and dodged, as they were afraid that Yan's energy would press and break them. The mysterious sword with the bizarre eyes emitted a red light that directly dashed towards Baowen without any fancy moves. It seemed to split heaven and earth apart. An intimidating surging energy, which could petrify people, shot towards Baowen. Strange, five-colored lights flooded the space. With the attack from the sword, space here under the sea seemed to be about to crack at any time. The protective barrier twisted, changed, and absorbed all of the heaven and earth aura in Barren City's center to strengthen and save it from breaking down. Bao Wen's complexion changed, revealing a trace of surprise. He couldn't help but scream, You have this energy." The giant sword didn't stop just because of his words. It released a scarlet rainbow, as if it wanted to split the world, which fired at Bao when all of a sudden, Bao Wen's scorpion tail made rattling sounds. His cheeks were full of scales. A halo of dark brown lights rippled from his body, forming a light pillar that fiercely collided with the scarlet light of the mysterious giant sword. Crack! The light pillar that had just been formed by the dark brown lights was split into halves as soon as it touched the blood light of the sword. It was unexpected that Bao Wen's one full power strike could not resist even for an instant. Everyone was frightened beyond their wits. The scarlet rainbow with its unpreventable force was still dashing over. Bao Wen's scorpion tail shook unceasingly and suddenly sputtered out a bunch of green lights. In the green lights, a small green sword released the intent domain that contained everything. As soon as that small sword flew out, the barrier above Barren City immediately absorbed heaven and earth aura and then crazily poured into it. The small, green sword expanded continually, becoming bigger and bigger, absorbing heaven and earth aura faster and faster. The tip of the green sword projected minute illusionary scorpions, shaking their heads and wagging their tails while releasing a cold and dark spiritual energy. The scorpion illusions were vivid, and they seemed to constantly attract various kinds of heaven and earth auras. Suddenly, the scorpion illusions became extremely large and flew toward Yan from the tip of the green sword. At the same time, that sword turned into a bunch of green lights, directly zooming over to Yan's mysterious giant sword. Attacking from two angles at the same time, Bao Wen wanted to rely on the small sword to intercept Yan's mysterious sword, taking advantage of the scorpion illusions that were condensed by a stream of consciousness and energy to kill Yan. Yan shook his head and sneered coldly while thought. Above the mysterious giant sword, a strange, evil surging spirit came out from those blood-red eyes. When the scorpion illusions left the green sword for just 100 meters, but were still far away from Yan, they were suddenly affected by an invisible force and halted in the void. Many beams of bloody light shot out from the red eyes as scarlet raindrops hit the scorpion illusions. The scorpion illusions were corroded like they were coming in contact with some strong acid, resulting in many islets. At the same time, the mysterious sword suddenly smashed Bao Wen's green sword. Boom! The green sword was covered by the bloody light and penetrated by the evil energy. Under such a strike, the spiritual light of this treasure immediately dimmed. Clash! The green sword swayed a little bit in the air and then lost its vitality. Bao Wen's body suddenly swayed as if it was severely hit by a hammer, and his aura was gone completely. The evil surging energy of the mysterious giant bloody light sword was simply earth-shattering. Under the urge of the three strange living beings, the ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, and the earth flame, the mysterious giant's sword released part of its real power that continued to oppress Bowin. Bowin paled. He had no more courage at this moment, and he retreated hurriedly. The mysterious sword seemed to keep chasing after him. No matter where Bowin dodged, the sword would pursue him closely, making him arduously run away. The Sea Tribe's warriors were terrified and started to dodge in panic. As soon as they saw Bowin coming, those warriors all cursed and hastily ran away from him at their fastest speeds. Wherever the mysterious sword passed, it continuously released a surging evil energy. Any warrior who came close would be sluggish until they stood still on the spot, as if some evil soul power had penetrated into them. The scene now was a complete mess. Because of avoiding Bowin, many warriors ran in all directions, as well as the Yang warriors who also had to keep moving to avoid Bowin and the mysterious giant sword. Do you still want me to receive one blow of yours? Sherian hovered in the sky, grinning coldly. He shook his head and said sarcastically, I'm still waiting. Where is your attack? Well, don't you just know how to run away? Do the spirit realm warriors only have that little ability? How could Bowin dare to say anything? Even his sacred level secret treasure had been defeated, and even if he had other secret treasures, he would not dare to take them out again. All the Yangs became excited, blushing and bursting into laughter, their hands clenched tightly. All of the insults at this moment seemed to be avenged completely. With just the strength of one man, Sherian had suppressed Bowin, who was at the spirit realm, making him run and avoid, not daring to attack. With this kind of an incident, not to mention that they all were dumbstruck, even the matriarch of the Naga tribe, who had highly appreciated Sherian, was also stunned. Half an hour later, the matriarch of the Naga tribe shook her head, sighed, and muttered, From now on, besides Yang Tian Emperor, the Yang family has another character, Sherian, who is even worthier of our attention. Even when Yang Tian Emperor was young, he could not reach that kid's level. It seems that the Yang family is still the Yang family. Just because Yang Tian Emperor was imprisoned, it's not like they will not be able to revive. Faye, you looked stunned, blankly looking at the young man who was floating arrogantly in the sky. She nodded gently. So he isn't arrogant, but he actually can suppress Bao Wen's strength. I did look down on him earlier, but it really is unbelievable. A person who is at the sky realm can defeat Bao Wen, making him run for his life. Chapter 448. Force you to give in. Chapter 448. Force you to give in. Sherian was happy. Since his petrification hadn't approached the peak of mutation yet, the last time he had borrowed the powers of the three living beings, his flesh body couldn't endure it. When the vehement energy flowed into his body, he felt like his tendons and meridians were all ripped apart. As his body was too stiff at that time, his spirit, will, and fleshy body were all affected when moving. Using the power that didn't belong to him was like using a double-bladed sword. His body would bear the pain ordinary people couldn't even withstand. Even he himself couldn't bear that pain before his martial spirit hadn't been mutated. But this time it was different. As he had entered the sky realm, the mutation of his martial spirit had reached the peak, and his physique had gotten beyond his imagination. Unexpectedly, it had totally adapted with the power he had poured into it this time. Besides a little tingling in the tendons and meridians, he didn't have any other strange feelings. When the earth-shaking energy was running fast in his body, and he could feel the power overflowing his body, this made him want to cheer loudly. He enjoyed the pleasure from the intimidating, wild power. Using his soul to communicate with the mystical giant sword, he found that this sword could absorb more of his energies. Only if it could gather enough power, it could generate a formidable force strong enough to destroy both the earth and the firmament. Bao Wen was like Emo Chi Ta. He had the cultivation base of first sky of spirit realm. However, when he faced the attack from the mystical sword, he had no way to dodge. When the sacred level treasure and the mysterious giant sword collided, the spiritual chi of the treasure vanished, as it had been directly turned into trash. From this minor detail, Shi Yan could confirm that the level of his mystical giant sword should be the god level, a god-level treasure. There was never a god-level treasure in the entire endless sea, but he got one in his hands now. What concept was this? God-level rare treasures could enhance the warrior's competencies thoroughly. Perhaps it could help a warrior bring out abilities much stronger than his own realm. He clearly recognized how terrifying a god-level rare treasure was. Bao Wen, didn't you want me to take one punch of yours? Shi Yan faced up, laughing out loud. His aura was constantly increasing, torrentially emitting out like multi-ranged mountains. This gave people a helpless feeling that they couldn't cross it. Many warriors staying hidden in the dark also felt the increasing power from Shi Yan, causing fear to swell in their hearts. The Yang family's new generation was even more intimidating than Yang Tian Emperor's generation. Everybody started to be concerned about the Yangs again. They now felt that even if Yang Tian Emperor died, the Yang family wouldn't decline. The tremendous power Shi Yan was releasing had shaken everyone on the scene. All human and sea tribes warriors in Barren City would remember Shi Yan, and they would never forget him for the rest of their lives. Enough! A cold voice arose from the crowd of the sea tribes as a member of the Water Scorpion clan flying out. In just a blink of an eye, he had shielded in front of Bao Wen. The man frowned and spread both his hands. Numerous green patterned light beams emitted from his palms, darting towards the mystical giant sword. In those green patterned beams appeared the illusions of thousands of toxic scorpions. Each scorpion was releasing a cold aura, aiming at the bloodshot eyes on the sword. Deji! Bao Wen shouted in excitement. He hurried to sway his scorpion tail to release the same green patterned light, blending with the other's light. More illusions of poisonous scorpions appeared inside the green light. This green light somehow had a miraculous effect, as if it was like a muddy puddle that could slow down the giant sword hacking down on Bao Wen. You are the patriarch Bao Ku of the Water Scorpion clan. Sure, Yan smiled as he was still floating in the sky. He nodded to the man and pointed at the mystical giant sword. Refined lights shot out one by one from his finger, entering the giant sword. As the giant sword was receiving his energy, it suddenly flickered and turned into a blood-like light, falling onto Shi Yan's palm. Holding the sword in his hand, Shi Yan looked at Bao Wen and Bao Ku, revealing a faint smile. He said deliberately, "Patriarch Bao Ku, will you be like your brother, wanting to battle with the Yang family?" Bao Ku and Bao Wen looked pretty similar. They both had cold, dark, and thin faces. Cold light flared up from their eyes as they looked at Shi Yan, who was hovering arrogantly in the sky, snorted and said, "Until now, my Water Scorpion clan has had no grudges with the Yangs. This event is unexpected, and Bao Wen has caused it himself alone. It isn't related to our Water Scorpion clan." "What?" Shi Yan grinned, then shook his head. "You're saying that the fact that Bao Wen triggered Jiulan Xian to mess with our Yang family isn't related to your Water Scorpion clan?" "Yes," Bao Ku said resolutely. Shi Yan was stunned. "Deji!" "Shut up!" The boisterous scene suddenly calmed down, as many members of the sea tribes looked at the patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan. "So, what manners does your Water Scorpion clan have?" Shi Yan frowned. His words weren't friendly at all. "Are you going to retreat and wait to see the Yang family situation and then decide how to deal with the Yangs?" "I told you, Bao Wen stuff isn't related to the Water Scorpion clan." Bao Ku snorted, coldly glared at his brother, and shouted at him. "Just because of a girl, you're fighting against our ally. Your discretion's getting worse." Unexpectedly, he gave Bao Wen a lesson. Bao Wen paled, wanted to say something, but finally kept his mouth shut under the warning eye of his brother. Bao Wen got his lesson. I think we should stop here. Anyway, you've killed that woman. I think you've already vented your anger, haven't you? The patriarch of the Water Scorpion clan mused, then faced up to talk to Shi Yan. Shi Yan smiled, nodded, and said naturally, Our Yang family's been your good friend. Although we have some problems this time, it will not affect the relationship between us. Yeah, the Yang family will still watch over Baron City. Nothing will change. What do you think? Of course, nodded Baokou. Shi Yan laughed. Good then. Yang Zhua and the others also felt happy, nodding at each other. Bao meant that his Water Scorpion clan wouldn't have any different thoughts anymore. He seemed to know Shi Yan was really tough to go against, and he also knew that if he turned his back on the Yang family this time, it wouldn't bring any benefits to the Water Scorpion clan in the future. So he had expressed his attitude and thoughts to Shi Yan in front of everybody. Our Naga tribes always maintained a good relationship with the Yangs. We always favor the Yang family's position in Baron City. No matter what, as long as members of the Yang stay in Baron City, the order in the city will still be under the family's control. As the head of the Naga tribe, I want to express myself here, too. A soft voice arose among the people of the Sea tribes. A beautiful female Naga wearing a bamboo, veiled hat slowly walked forward. Matriarch of the Nagas. She has also come here. I can believe this woman's here. Many of the Sea tribes couldn't help but sigh. They were discussing with low voices and strange looks. We, the Silver Shark clan, also want to express our ideas. A tenor came from a tall building on the south of Baron City. People then saw a man wearing a silver robe coming towards Shi Yan from the top of that building. His face was vague from a distance. Ah, the patriarch of the Silver Shark clan. Is it true that all heads of the tribes have come to Baron City today? They do appreciate the Yang family. Wow, I didn't think that even the patriarch of the Silver Shark clan has come here personally. It really surprises people. Warriors from the Sea tribes and the human race suddenly burst out in discussion with surprised eyes. The Silver Shark clan was the strongest among the other clans of the Sea tribes. Yin Hui, the patriarch of the Silver Shark clan, had the cultivation base of Second Sky of Spirit Realm, whose intimidating name was famous among the Sea tribes, as he had used his arrogance and coldness to swagger undersea for years. Apparently, he had never been defeated. That year, when Yang Tian Emperor had entered the spirit realm and gone to the seabed, because of his arrogance, he had some dispute with Yin Hui. It was said that the two of them had a great fight undersea, but it wasn't clear who won. After that fight, the Silver Shark clan approved the overlord position of the Yang family in Baron City. As Yin Hui was as powerful as Yang Tian Emperor, and he was also the spirit realm warrior of the previous generation, he had a noble position among the Sea tribes members. Many young Sea tribe men idolized him. When this man was young, he had come to the Endless Sea and provoked many spirit realm warriors to engage in battles with him, and they had rarely received news of him being defeated. No one had expected that Yin Hui would be at Baron City today. Moreover, he had reaffirmed the overlord position of the Yang family in Baron City. The Silver Shark clan was stronger than the Naga and the Water Scorpion tribes. Also, Yin Hui was personally stronger than Li Sha and Baokou. It made his words heavier than theirs. Yeah, everything stays the same. It benefits everybody. Our Yang family only wishes for peace in Baron City. As long as we can maintain the original state of Baron City, we can attract more human warriors here for trading. This is also the best situation to your Sea tribes. Shi Yan was still floating in the air, looking at Yin Hui, and said with cold tone, Boy, you're more rampant and arrogant than Yang Tian Emperor that year, but I like it. Yin Hui smiled, then said mildly, No matter it's on the seabed or on the endless sea, the stronger ones have the voice. As you have demonstrated your sufficient capacity, we feel relieved to leave Baron City in your hands. Shi Yan's brows slammed together. One day, if you and Yang Tian Emperor both fall, my promise today will be invalid. Yin Hui snorted. If you want to receive respect from others, you have to be strong enough. Currently, you've shown that you are strong enough. That's why I've given you my approval. After Yin Hui had spoken, he didn't want to linger. He just smiled and continued, Don't be so arrogant. The power you have now isn't completely belonging to you. Without borrowing the external forces, you're just a sky realm warrior. Kid, put your best into it. Although the Silver Shark clan won't bother with your stuff, you have to deal with the Black Flood Dragon clan yourself. Haha, this time the ones who want your Yang family to doom the most isn't us, the Silver Shark clan, or the Naga and the Water Scorpion tribes. If you could earn the approval from that fella of the Black Flood Dragon clan, then you can be considered to hold the whole barren city in your hands. Yin Hui laughed coldly as he was moving further and further. In just a short time, he had disappeared from the barren city. Chapter 449. The Matriarch of the Naga Tribe. Chapter 449. The Matriarch of the Naga Tribe. After Yin Hui had left, Bao Ku and Bao Wen brothers from the Water Scorpion clan didn't linger. They looked at Shi Yan once and then left. Many warriors gathering in the Yang family to see today's events knew that nothing was exciting enough to see anymore, and hence gradually left. Not long after that, hotshots from human race and sea tribes in the Yang family also left in silence. Sure, Yan walked to Yang Mu and the others, then looked at the people leaving, smiled, and spoke up to Yang Zhuo. Big uncle, are you satisfied now? The 4 people who had come to mess with us have been eradicated. As for those who followed them, I think it isn't necessary to chase and kill them all. Anyway, the future of Barren City still depends on them. Yang Zhuo felt content, nodding his head constantly. Kid, you aren't ordinary at all. I didn't think that you could force Bao Ku and Bao Wen to nod their heads. Haha, seems your great-grandfather's calculation is flawless. With you here in the Yang family, Barren City won't have any other unexpected events. Yang Mu, Yang Zhuo, and the other disciples of Yang family also smiled and praised his uncommon methods. The Black Flood Dragon clan? Shi Yan frowned, thought for a while, then continued. I heard that the Black Flood Dragon clan's the strongest clan among the sea tribes. They're much more intimidating than the Silver Shark clan, the Naga tribe, and the Water Scorpion tribe. The Black Flood Dragon's patriarch Nu Lang is at the 3rd sky of Spirit Realm, and he's addressed as the peerless warrior in the seabed. Is it true? Yang Zhuo couldn't help but change his face on hearing him talking about the Black Flood Dragon clan. He nodded his head and sighed. It's true. How about their attitude towards us? Is the Black Flood Dragon clan not very friendly with the Yang family? Yes, it's also true. Why? That year when your great-grandpa had come to the seabed and wanted to rule Barren City, the Silver Shark clan, the Water Scorpion tribe, and the Naga tribe agreed. But Nu Lang from the Black Flood Dragon clan didn't. Yin Hui and Li Sha couldn't help with that. To get the approval from Nu Lang, your great-grandpa had personally visited the Black Flood Dragon clan. Rumors say that he had a tense situation with Nu Lang. But then, don't know why, but Nu Lang agreed at the end. However, they aren't so friendly with the Yang family. I think something was wrong with your great-grandpa's deeds that year. Shi Yan was startled. Nu Lang said he would give the Yangs time to prove that we are able to control Barren City. If we could benefit the sea tribes, he would approve of the Yang family's position in Barren City. Although your great-grandpa had sharp tricks, he had put the Barren City under control. After Yang family had taken control of Barren City, we had transported a great deal of cultivating materials to Barren City. This benefited all tribes. Afterward, Nu Lang reluctantly approved of the overlord position of the Yang family in Barren City. But now it seems Nu Lang isn't satisfied. Yeah, After your great-grandpa had been confined in the demon area, we've lost the control of the Kiara Sea. Afterward, the Yang family had no way to supply enough cultivating materials for Baron City. This made Nu Lang very discontented. Maybe that's why he wants the Yangs to lose our control to Baron City. Yang Zhuo's face darkened. He mused for a while before speaking up again. If Nu Lang didn't keep this attitude, I think Ming Hai, Yanfeng, and Fu Hao wouldn't have dared to provoke the Yang family. Even though Nu Lang didn't come out personally, his attitude was enough to let those people act carelessly. No wonder. It was easy for Shi Yan to understand. Nu Lang had approved of the overlord position of Yang family that year purely because of benefits. As Nu Lang had seen more benefits for the members of Sea tribes when the Yang took control of Baron City. Even if he didn't want to admit it, he knew how to make decisions as the patriarch for the benefits his tribe would receive. As things had been escalated, the Yang family was declining, and they hadn't been able to supply most of the cultivating materials for Baron City for 3 or 5 years. Of course, Nu Lang's veiled disapproval would arise. It was obvious why he had made such decision. If he saw from Nu Lang's standpoint, who didn't really like Yang Tian Emperor, when he found that the Yang family couldn't continue bringing benefits to him, he would have done the same. Seems like I have to think about the method to handle Nu Lang, as he's the strongest warrior of the Sea tribes. If he doesn't say anything, it means he wants to wait and see. Shi Yan mused for a while, then frowned as he was somewhat worried. If the Yang family can show its previous power and continue to supply cultivating materials for the Sea tribes, I think even if Nu Lang's discontented, he won't say anything. But the Endless Sea was in a special situation at present. The Dark Dwellers and the Demon Dwellers had invaded Kiara Sea and Yuan Luo Sea. Big fights happened continuously in the sea. Maintaining trade under such circumstances was really difficult. The main point here was that the Yang family couldn't control the Kiara Sea, and they weren't brave enough to work there. Thus, it was much difficult now to collect the cultivating materials there. If he could solve this issue, Nu Lang would agree. But solving this problem wasn't easy at all. Due to the complicated situation, we couldn't transport the materials for cultivation to the Sea tribes in Baron City. That caused a grudge between the Sea tribes and us, the main reason for this great move. Yang Zhuo sighed. I know the problem, but what to do about it? Your great-grandpa is still in the demon area. He can't come back within a short time. Up there, forces from everywhere are keeping an eye on us. It's good that they didn't come here to kill us, and it's impossible to do business with them. The group of Yang Mu, Yang Shui, Li Feng, and the others also shook their heads with a helpless expression. Sure, Yan let out a sigh, then looked at the group of warriors from the Naga tribe. He said in surprise, Why haven't they left yet? Yang Mu's group also paid attention, looking at them. They saw the group of Fei Yan not leave, but walk towards them. Li Sha, the matriarch of the Naga tribe, was wearing a bamboo hat accompanied with a loose black robe, swaying her snake tail to move to the main building of the Yang family with a delicate deportment. She looked at Yang Zhuo then said softly, Can I get over there for a chat? Yang Zhuo was surprised. After a long while, he nodded and replied with serious manner. Precursor Li Sha's humbled yourself to come here. It's our honor. Please come. As the guard standing down there heard his assignment, he quickly opened the stone gate and crossed his arms, bowing down. Li Sha smiled and said to Feiya, Come with me. The 2 female Nagas mounted up the building. Not long after that, they approached the group of Yang Zhuo. When Li Sha arrived, she took off her bamboo-veiled hat, and her long, silky hair cascaded down like a waterfall. That was a charming, sexy face with vermilion lips, bright-colored eyes, and a jade-like skin tone. Li Sha was worth the title of the most famous beauty among the Sea tribes. She was delightful and ample, naturally exuding a breathtaking charm that could take people's hearts and souls. She was like a succulent ripe peach that people regretted they couldn't bite even once. Extremely beautiful. As she had taken off her bamboo hat, the whole stage suddenly brightened up. All males of the Yang family, including Yang Zhuo, were shaken, unable to help but throw her admired looks. Shi Yan also complimented her in his mind, as he was amazed at her astonishing, gorgeous beauty. She was a beautiful, mature woman, whose level was as high as Yu Rou of the White Wing clan. Sexy appeal emitted from her entire body. She was really the enemy of all men who could enchant all kinds of people, making them want to put her on the ground and begin to caress her. Matriarch Li Sha. Yang Zhuo bowed to her with a somber countenance. Precursor Li Sha. Yang Mu, Zhang Zhou, and the others held their breaths, staring at her without blinking even once. However, they all conducted the respect they should offer her. Legends said that Li Sha and Yang Tian Emperor had had an ambiguous time together. Although Yang Tian Emperor had never admitted it, members of the Yang family didn't dare to neglect this woman. Li Sha only glared at Yang Zhuo, then shifted her eyes to Shi Yan, speaking up with a soft tone. Hero among the youth. When Yang Tian Emperor was at your age, even he wasn't as dangerous as you are. The Yang family is always the Yang family, where the next generation is stronger than the previous ones. I've come to finally know it. Shi Yan smiled. Thanks for your compliment. Li Sha nodded, pointed at Fei next to her, and said, Thanks for giving them a hand. Without you, perhaps the silver-horned electric eels would have killed them. The Yang family and the Naga tribe are good friends. I should be helping them. Precursor Li Sha, you don't need to be too polite. Shi Yan smiled and nodded at Fei Ya. Fei Ya's pretty eyes sparked with a strange light. She smiled. Kid, you've surprised people. I have looked down on you before. Yeah, I didn't believe that you could save Baron City. Unexpectedly, you killed Ming Hai, Fu Hao, Yan Feng, and Jiulan Xan. You also made Bao Ku and Bao when admit the Yang's overlord power. It's me who has underestimated you. Sure, Yan shook his head and burst out laughing. You don't need to explain. I should thank you too. Along the way, if you didn't give me the information of Ming Hai and his allies, I couldn't be sure about it. Yeah, it's you who helped me make the decision. I should say thank you. You're polite, Fei giggled. Don't be too polite like that, Li Sha said tenderly. The Yang family and our Naga tribe have close relationship. I did want to stand up for your Yang family in this event. I want to make it clear that this time I came here not to take responsibility for the Yangs, but I would have interfered to save your lives when Ming Hai's group became excessive. I've talked to the other tribes. I have no voice if they don't want the Yang family anymore. But I said I wanted to save your lives, and that's all I could have done for you guys. Yang Zhuo was shaken. His eyes brightened up. Chapter 450. Wild Schemes. Chapter 450. Wild Schemes. Shi Yan was also dazed. He looked at Li Sha, bowed down to give her respect, and said, Precursor Li Sha, it's too much you've done for the Yang family. On behalf of the Yang family, I thank you a lot. There were many tribes among the sea tribes. However, the Black Flood Dragon clan, the Silver Shark clan, the Naga tribe, and the Water Scorpion tribe were the four biggest tribes with the largest number of strong warriors. The Naga tribe was placed behind the Black Flood Dragon clan and the Silver Shark clan. Also, Li Sha's cultivation base wasn't as strong as Nu Lang's and Yin Hui's. However, she had come when the Yang family was in danger, and she had done her best to save the lives of the Yangs. Obviously, she didn't need to aid the Yangs, as she didn't throw a stone at them when they fell down the well, and was prepared to help them at the crucial time. If what Li Sha said was true, the Yang family had to thank her. The reason why I stay is to explain something. In fact, members of the sea tribes aren't all bad as you've imagined. Li Sha was hesitant before she watched here and there, then said, When I proposed to protect the Yang family's members, Nu Lang and Yin Hui agreed immediately. Even Bao Ku, whom Yang Tian Emperor had hurt before, was hesitant for a while and then agreed. No one wanted to exterminate the Yangs. What? Shi Yan grinned. So, the 4 great leaders of the sea tribes had a meeting to deal with our Yang family. I don't want to keep it from you, nodded Li Sha. We did negotiate. Shi Yan laughed, but didn't say anything. We discussed that if the Yang family could continue to benefit the sea tribes, I think no leader would have different thoughts. Li Sha beamed a forced smile. But since Yang Tian Emperor's been confined in the demon area, and the Yang family's lost the control in Karasi, it's been 4 years since you stopped transported rare, cultivating materials for the sea tribes. This makes many members of the sea tribes who depend on the Yang family uncomfortable. Yang Zhuo sighed begrudgingly. We have no choice. I know, Li Sha smiled. It would be all right if we had never taken it for granted. But it's been years. When a sea tribe member needs materials for his cultivation, we have your Yang family to exchange for it. We've formed that habit. But then you've stopped the supply. Many people who don't have the materials to cultivate turn to bear the grudge with you guys. Right at this moment, Minghai and Fu Hao stood up and committed that they could replace the Yang family to provide the materials for our cultivation. You say, should we be moved? Minghai and Fu Hao. Yang Zhuo beamed a cold smile, sneered and said disdainfully, with only the 2 of them. Of course they can't. Li Sha continued, but they got the connection with the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace. Finally, Yang Zhuo had to change his face. How could it be? Nothing's impossible. Li Sha arched her brow, then smiled. The Yang family has earned a fortune on the seabed through Barren City. Do you think the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace wouldn't be jealous? If the Yangs could do it, the Chaos and the Martial Spirit Palace could do it, too. Ming Hai and Fu Hao had come to these 2 forces. With this situation, shouldn't they be moved? Shi Yan frowned, then sighed. I got it. Yang Zhuo also nodded. If it's so, I think the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace wouldn't turn them away. Indeed, they would help them discreetly. That's the truth, Li Sha smiled. Although the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace can't take care of themselves at this moment and couldn't send strong warriors to the Barren City, when they heard about the situation, they did show their interest. Ming Hai and Fu Hao told them that they could persuade the sea tribes. With this win-win solution, it had been settled like that. Even though people from the Yang family didn't want to accept it, they recognized that the situation was exactly like what Li Sha had shared. No wonder why Fu Hao, Yanfeng, and their allies had such guts. Turns out they had the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace as their backing. Yang Zhuo gritted his teeth, smiling coldly. Right now, the Endless Sea is a chaotic mess, but the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace still have their wild schemes to poke their noses in Barren City's business. They're really ambitious. Everyone has ambitions. Li Sha nodded. It's the real situation. However, the 4 clans, we remember the favors the Yang family has done to us. So, we all agreed to secure the Yang's generations and keep you away from extinguishing. Yin Hui, Bao Ku, and me would come and observe the 4 of Ming Hai's group in case they push things too far. So, I've misunderstood you guys. Shi Yan furrowed his eyebrows. If I were you, I would do the same. For the future of the clan, letting go of an ally who's not useful anymore is a normal sense. As you've remembered the favor by the Yangs and left us an exit, it's our friendship. We aren't like your mankind, laughed Li Sha. The complexions of Yang Zhuo's group were a little bit embarrassed. I'm just honest, don't be angry. Li Sha smiled. The Yang family had done many good things for the Endless Sea. If the Yangs didn't subdue the 4th demon area, I think the Endless Sea's warriors wouldn't have had these many years living in peace. However, when they saw the Yang family was about to be defeated, no force in the Endless Sea wanted to give you a hand. Ironically, they thought about how to share the Kiara Sea first. Those people didn't want to give you guys a way out. They even wanted to uproot your whole family. Isn't it true? Shi Yan's, Yang Zhuo's, and the others' faces became more grimaced. Although we, the sea tribes, have some selfish members who always think about them first, we still know how to maintain friendships. Li Sha laughed arrogantly. I've just told you that our sea tribes are better than humans in this aspect. In this regard, no matter it be the sea tribes, the dark dwellers, or the demon dwellers, none of us are as cruel as humans, who can do anything to earn benefits. Sigh. Yang Zhuo sighed and nodded begrudgingly. Mankind was famous for their influence and heartlessness among the other great species. Even if they didn't say anything, they couldn't change that fact. That was why, when the other great species doing business with mankind always kept their conservative attitude, many species didn't like humans, as they thought that humanity was the wickedest in the world. They were cunning. They didn't play by the rules and could do anything to earn profits. There were numerous shortcomings to count. I said this in the hope that you would understand. Although what our sea tribes did this time was atypical, it wasn't really ruthless. Li Sha had mused for a while before speaking up again. This matter's solved today. I hope that the Yang family wouldn't have a grudge with the sea tribes. Otherwise, it doesn't benefit any of us. If we can maintain the original relation, I think for the benefit we are about to receive, we will stand by the Yang family side. But if you hold grudge and do something disadvantageous to our sea tribes, I think it's not what we want to see. It's too soon to talk about that. Shi Yan contemplated and smiled. The patriarch Nu Lang of the Black Flood Dragon clan hasn't expressed himself yet. As the strongest warrior of the sea tribes, if he doesn't recognize our Yang family's position, we can't live in peace in the Barren City. If it happens that way, the Yang family will leave Barren City. At that time, perhaps you guys can cooperate with the Chow family and the Martial Spirit Palace. Haha. Anyway, allow me to remind you one thing. Currently, the Chow family and the Martial Spirit Palace can't take care of themselves. It's unknown if they could solely rule the whole sea area in the future like they are doing now. Divine light sparkled from Li Sha's gorgeous eyes. Shi Yan smiled deliberately. One day, I'm afraid there will be a bigger event happening in the Endless Sea. After that event, I'm not sure the Chow family and the Martial Spirit Palace could stand still. If you have a connection with the Chows and the Martial Spirit Palace now, I don't know whether you can have the same relationship with the Yang family as what you currently have. Kid, you're so haughty. You're stinkier than Yang Tian Emperor that year. Li Sha understood his thought, eyeing him. Why do you assume that the Yangs can prevent the Chows and the Martial Spirit Palace from becoming the sole overlord of the Endless Sea? With only you? Although you're extraordinary, you're far behind Chow Chiu Dao and Yang Yitian. Do you really think that borrowing external force could make you stronger than them? Shi Yan smiled and didn't answer her. Li Sha gently frowned. Kid, are you just spouting or you really have that confidence? No. Shi Yan shook his head, but I have to do that. Perhaps it couldn't be done in just a short time, but I will consider it my goal. Maybe 10 years, or even 20 years later. Anyway, I think it would be 30 years max, and I can certainly do that. People of the Yang family were shaken. Their eyes all brightened up. Members of the Yang family all wore excited faces, as they were incited by the future he described, as if they were watching a picture being unfolded by Shi Yan. This was the picture of the Yang family holding the overlordship all over the Endless Sea, and every force had to bow to them. Your wild schemes are much bigger than your competence. Li Sha gazed at him for a long while before she nodded her head. First, I wish you could fulfill your goals soon. If so, I will give you a big applause, and I will also be happy for Yang Tian Emperor. She paused for a second, then grinned. Anyway, first, you have to persuade Nu Lang. Nu Lang? Yeah, now he's busy with refining a spirit-level treasure, so he hasn't come to Barren City yet. However, Nu Lang seems to tilt towards the collaboration with the Chow family and the Spirit Martial Palace. He thinks that it would be more beneficial for the Sea tribes if the Chows and the Martial Spirit Palace control Barren City together, more than your Yang family doing that. Where's Nu Lang? Of course, in the Black Flood Dragon clan. He wants to refine spirit-level treasures, but too bad he couldn't find the flame that was scorching enough. He has tried to do it many times, but he's failed since he couldn't melt the materials. He has quite a headache now, so I guess he's not in a good mood. If you want to find him at this time, I don't think he would give you a good face. Fiery flame with a high temperature. Shi Yan's eyes brightened up, laughing out loud. Chapter 451. Rich Blacksmith Resources. Chapter 451. Rich Blacksmith Resources. Why are you laughing? Li Sha furrowed her brows, wearing a disgruntled face when she thought that Shi Yan was taking pleasure in others' misfortune. Nothing. I just didn't expect that a third sky of spirit realm warrior like Nu Lang also would meet difficulty refining secret treasures. Shi Yan's expression became serious. He thought and then continued, Precursor Li Sha, thanks for your explanation. With the information you've provided, I think we will have a better arrangement. What should be told, I've told you all. What the Yang family will do, I can't control it. But I do hope that the Yangs would stay in Barren City like before. The Sea tribes have cooperated with you guys for many years. Please don't let this current event affect our mutual cooperation. If there's nothing else, I think the other leaders won't have any other thoughts. Li Sha hesitated for a while before giving another advice. Matriarch Li Sha, thanks for your reminder, said Yang Zhuo. Don't be too polite, smiled Li Sha, and then turned to Feiya. Then, I will not bother you guys anymore. The other warriors in Barren City were manipulated by Ming Hai, Yan Feng, Fu Hao, and Julan Xen, and as those four are dead, you guys shouldn't attack them further. Maintaining the order of Barren City is what the Sea tribes want to see. Shi Yan and Yang Zhuo exchanged looks. I should go back. Li Sha didn't linger, leaving together with Feiya. Yang Zhuo's group was calm, looking at the Sea tribe's warriors leaving. Then they all wore an excited face. Little Yan, I'll take you to see the materials that we are storing. Yang Zhuo contemplated, then suddenly burst out in laughter. That part of cultivating materials has taken account of just several % of the goods we store. But in the others' eyes, it's huge. This time you visited Barren City, if you need any materials to cultivate, just take them from the storage. Yang Mu and the others left with happy countenances. Oh, good. Sure, Yen felt refreshed, following people of the Yang family behind the meeting hall, entering the secret channel leading to the vault that kept many kinds of fundamental stones. Looking at the colorful, dazzling, cultivating materials, Shi Yan was moved. This batch of commodities included crystals for cultivating, rare 5-element metals, and many rare, precious pellets and other materials found on the seabed. Any types of materials for cultivating that were rare on land could be found here. If there were some good blacksmiths and alchemists here, with this tremendous amount of cultivating materials, they could refine many kinds of rare treasures and pellets. When the Yang family still had the control of the Kiara Sea area for many years, they had done trading with hotshots from the Sea tribes and demon dwellers from the demon area. Over hundreds of years, the Yang family had been gathering so many types of cultivating materials from the endless sea, the seabed, and the demon area. The Yang family could control the Kiara Sea and attract warriors from everywhere. This was also related to this huge amount of cultivating materials. Do you need anything? Yang Zhuo wore a proud face. Speaking of cultivating materials, the Yang family has much more than the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace. As long as they are the materials on the endless sea, the demon area, or undersea, we almost have them all. Some blacksmiths and alchemists of the endless sea will come to the Yangs if they need rare materials. Big Uncle, do we have our private blacksmiths and alchemists? Suddenly, Shi Yan remembered the blacksmith secrets of success he had obtained from the exotic land. If they had an excellent blacksmith, with this book he could learn the secret methods from it. Blacksmiths and alchemists are really scarce in the endless sea. In the divine Great Land, these two classes of warriors are very honored. So, excellent blacksmiths and alchemists will travel around, and they won't stay in one place for a long time. Yang Zhuo frowned and explained slowly. When the blacksmiths and the alchemists come to one place, they come for the materials and then start to refine stuff. When they're done, they will continue their journey to other places to find new materials. Blacksmiths and alchemists don't have a permanent residence. I heard that only in the divine Great Land is there a place where the blacksmiths and the alchemists gather. Currently, there's nothing like that in the Endless Sea. So, who had refined the immortal nature pellet for the Yang family? Shi Yan was surprised. Without a private alchemist, who had produced this pellet for the Yangs. Some alchemists visited the Endless Sea and came to Archaea Sea for some rare, cultivating materials. Your great-grandfather had talked to them personally, using the materials they need to exchange for their help. They then refined some pellets for the Yang family and left afterward. Yang Zhuo explained, then shook his head. Outstanding blacksmiths and alchemists usually don't want to be controlled. Even the Yang family couldn't make the spirit-level blacksmiths or alchemists produce treasures exclusively for the Yangs. Most of the time, we just use money to buy the goods. But those are usually not matched with us. Only the customized treasures could promote one's power the best. Shi Yan's eyes brightened. Let alone the Yang family, even the Chao family and the Martial Spirit Palace with their formidable forces in Endless Sea couldn't have excellent blacksmiths or alchemists. In the divine Great Land, the best blacksmiths and alchemists have just the spirit level. And those excellent blacksmiths at this level will come to the divine Great Land. They will absolutely not linger around the Endless Sea. Yang Zhuo sighed reluctantly. So, the outstanding blacksmiths and alchemists are delicious cakes in the eyes of the forces from everywhere. Of course. Is Nu Lang from the Black Flood Dragon clan a blacksmith? Otherwise, why does he want to forge secret treasures? Shi Yan was suspicious and couldn't help but ask. Yang Zhuo smiled, shaking his head. No member of the Sea tribes was born with a fire martial spirit. I've never heard of any hotshots of the Sea tribes becoming a real blacksmith or alchemist. Since the Sea tribes' members' bodies can't generate a fiery flame, they will not have the human flame, and they can't control the fiery flame skillfully. That makes them unable to become real blacksmiths or alchemists. Excellent blacksmiths and alchemists will not accept the Sea tribes members as their disciples either. How about that Nu Lang? He isn't a blacksmith. Yang Zhuo smilingly shook his head. He found a volcano undersea, threw some rare cultivating materials in there, and melted them into treasure shapes. He then uses his soul to refine them, using his blood to grind. This way can be considered a way to forge treasures, but it's thousands of miles away from what the real blacksmiths will do. Do the blacksmiths do the same when they forge the treasure? Of course not. Yang Zhuo had a serious face. Apparently, a true blacksmith has a human flame. If he's better, he can use the earth flame. In legends, the best alchemists even have the heaven flame. When a real blacksmith refines the secret treasure, he needs to carve the earth and heaven mysterious formation inside the treasure personally. Those magical formations are the essence of refining. Every magical formation has its own special effects. It can collect energy or can gather the fire elements, or even condense the beast's soul to create telepathy with the owner. With just a flicker of one's thought, the secret treasure will answer instantly. To check whether the rare treasure is made by a blacksmith or not, we just need to see if there's a mystical formation in it. The ones that have the mystical formations are made by blacksmiths. The ones that don't have the formation are just created by combining and melting some materials. That's not refining. However, the treasures that many warriors from the Endless Sea are using, including our Yang family, are all fabricated with this bluntly cheap method. So, Nu Lang isn't a real blacksmith? Yin burst out laughing. Haha! If the sea tribes know how to do smiting, why would they need the blacksmiths? If anybody could become a blacksmith, it wouldn't be a rare profession anymore. Otherwise, how could the blacksmiths maintain their superior position? Yang Zhuo also laughed. Yeah, seems like becoming a blacksmith benefits a family or even a force. Yen was startled, as a strange ray of light sparked from his eyes. Of course. In the legends, during the ancient times, each warrior was both a blacksmith and alchemist. According to the legends, the warriors at that time were divided into classes, blacksmith or alchemist. Any warrior would consider refining weapons and pellets as a part of their realm. So, each warrior was a blacksmith and an alchemist. Warriors at that time wouldn't count on someone else to fabricate their treasures and pellets, as they would do it themselves. However, as time changed, the warriors were then divided into blacksmiths and alchemists among the community of warriors. In our times, the blacksmiths and the alchemists have become the special characters among the other warriors. I'm not sure whether this change is good or bad. Yang Zhuo said after letting out a sigh. Yen attentively listened to his explanation. He was stunned for a long while. His eyes sparked radiant beams as if he was considering something. Little Yen, do you need any materials? Just take them directly, smiled Yang Zhuo. I'll stay here for several days. I'll check it out first. You guys can go. Sure. Yen suddenly woke up from his thought, smiled, then said, Stay here. Yang Zhuo was surprised. Sure, Yen nodded to confirm. Yes, this place. Big uncle, don't worry. The Black Flood Dragon clan wouldn't take action for now. Wait until I get out of here. I'll come to the Black Flood Dragon clan to visit New Lang. Visit New Lang? Yang Zhuo's face slightly changed. Don't worry. I have my calculations. Sure, Yen was full of confidence. I assure that I can solve New Lang. I'm 100% sure. People of the Yang family couldn't make head or tail of it. They didn't know where he got his confidence from. However, today, Yen had brought them many surprises. Although they found it vague, they still had hope in him. Good then. If you need something, just ask. If you're not sure, just find me directly. Yang Zhuo didn't say anything further, leading the group of Yangmu back to their place. Chapter 452, Pacifying. Chapter 452, Pacifying. Only Yen was left in the vault. That big vault stored thousands of types of cultivating and refining materials. They were so colorful and brilliant that they could easily dazzle people. There was a piece of yellow paper stuck on each kind of material to tell the name and its primary functions. When the blacksmiths and the alchemists came here, they just needed to read the notes to know what kind of pellets or secret treasures those materials could fabricate. As for the heat control and the precise amount, they depended on the method the blacksmiths and alchemists would use. According to Yang Zhuo, when one wanted to become a blacksmith, he had to have the human flame, and it would be best if he could use the earth flame. If one had the heaven flame, even a lousy blacksmith could forge extraordinary weapons. The human flame was the worst, the earth flame was better, and the heaven flame was something they could only meet by fortune. The heaven flame was the divine tool in the hands of blacksmiths and alchemists. In his line of sight were all sorts of refining materials. Yen had the ice-cold flame, the earth flame, and the 9 serenities soul-devouring flame in his body, among which the earth flame was the best flame to do the refining. In his storage ring, he had the blacksmith's secrets of success from the toxic land, which was the method written by a spirit-level blacksmith. Flame materials and methods were the 3 fundamental elements required by a blacksmith. He had them all. If he paid attention, he could become a blacksmith using his flame and materials to fabricate all kinds of secret treasures with different effects. He could even make the treasures perform their best that would give him the perfect assistance. Sitting neatly in the vault, Yen frowned while musing. From his head to his feet, Flows of negative emotions continuously oozed out, bringing all kinds of thoughts which were sufficient to disorder his mind, flooding his head. When he killed Ming Hai's group, he had used the gravitational field to grind more than 10 warriors. Negative energies from those people were then poured into his acupuncture points. Now he felt a vague pain inside his whole body while the negative energies were transferred into his body. Currently, these negative energies were being filtered, and they started to generate the counter force that affected his mind. As he had known beforehand that he had to undergo this phase, he had asked to stay in this vault, and would use his tough will to dissolve them all. His mind barged into the blood vein ring. He called the ice-cold flame, and a flame that looked like a shining white gem slowly came out, floating in front of him. Freeze me, before my mind restores, and if I haven't sent you any order, do not unseal. Sure, Yen sent a message using his soul consciousness. The ice-cold flame looked at him carefully. These years, as the ice-cold flame had been living inside the blood vein ring, it knew about all kinds of strange and mysterious things he had. It knew Shi Yan's habits and when to help him reduce the pressure on his body. The ice-cold flame then released the extremely cold air. This cold air gathered, but not diffused, turning into white mist pouring over his body. Crack, crack. Shi Yan's body started to be covered by frost. Freezing sounds echoed around him, and within only 3 seconds his whole body was enveloped inside a 5-meter-thick, solid ice layer. Like an ice sculpture, Shi Yan sat there neatly, not moving an inch as a strange force had frozen him. The ice-cold flame was the ancient heaven flame, which was specialized in using the extreme cold power in earth and heaven. After it came out from the blood vein ring, it could mobilize cold air enough to freeze the whole island. So, it needed just a short period to freeze Shi Yan. Inside the ice block, Shi Yan was refining the negative energy in silence. Staying in there, even if he had all kinds of brutal thoughts in his head, he couldn't take any action, being confined inside the ice block. The refined aura from the negative energies flooded his mind. However, under the effect of the ice-cold flame, even his thoughts seemed to be frozen. In this state, he didn't need to worry that he would destroy everything around him while he was refining all the negative energies. Time flew by and one day was gone. All the negative energies had been refined, turning into flows of peculiar power, overflowing from 720 acupuncture points all over his body to his tendons, bones, and even blood. They strengthened his physique and enhanced the purity of his profound qi. For precious drops of immortal blood had been condensed in his palm as well. A part of the peculiar power was absorbed by the star martial spirit. This made the star martial spirit radiate jade-like beams and triggered numerous star dots moving over his heart. This enhanced the absorption and the density of the star martial spirit, helping the star's peculiar abilities grow, and the star's martial spirit to thrive more stably. Sure, Yen slowly woke up. He immediately felt the extreme cold all over his body. His mind flickered, sending his thought to the ice-cold flame. A suction force came out from the snowflake form of the ice-cold flame. The cold around his body was removed, sucked into the ice-cold flame. In just a flash, the ice covering his body vanished into thin air, as if it had never existed. Sure, Yen exhaled, sensing the change in his star martial spirit. Also, he was holding 4 precious drops of the immortal blood. Sure Yen smiled, speaking to the ice-cold flame. All right. I'm getting back in the ring, replied the ice-cold flame. Hold on. Sure Yen frowned and halted the ice-cold flame. What's up? We had made a deal that when I entered the Nirvana realm, I will let you go. Sure Yan's complexion was somber. However, after I entered the Nirvana realm, we had a special situation. You'd sunk into silence, so I couldn't fulfill my promise. But now, for the moment, I don't want to leave. The ice-cold flame sent him a message before he could finish his talk. The reason why I wanted to leave was because I felt one day you would take all that I had and enslave me just like my previous master, who had considered me his precious treasure. But after living together for a period, I can see you're different from him. What? Shi Yan was astounded. So you won't leave me? I don't have this thought just yet. The ice-cold flame mused, then sent him another message. Wait until I find a place suitable for me to evolve, I'll tell you. At that time, I hope you will let me go. But for now, I'll stay with you. You can be considered a foreigner among the human race. Living with you is safer than wandering alone and then getting captured by other God realm warriors. Shi Yan burst out laughing. His thoughts flickered again. The earth flame, the Holy Spirit God, and even the king of demonic insects flew out from the blood vein ring. The ice-cold flame, the earth flame, the Holy Spirit God, the king of demonic insects, and the devouring gold silkworm. 3 eccentric living beings and 2 demonic beasts all showed themselves in the vault. They were forming a 5-colored energy halo that rippled out from Shi Yan. Retrieve your powers. Shi Yan's face slightly changed, and he immediately shouted. The formidable, profound qi in his body suddenly moved, creating a huge dark light shield, covering the surging energy of the gorgeous 5-colored halo. The 5 living beings hurried to withdraw their powers, preventing them from expanding when they heard him shouting. After all of the energies had been retreated and the vault restored its quietness again, Shi Yan frowned and then talked in a low tone. It's our fate that we can be together. I let all of you out this time to make something clear. The ice-cold flame, the earth flame, and the Holy Spirit God had turned into 3 separate beams of light, floating in front of him. The devouring gold silkworm and the king of demonic insects were on his left and right, waiting in silence. I know my blood has an extreme effect on creatures and existences like you guys. Shi Yan lowered his voice, looking at the devouring gold silkworm and the king of demonic insects. I promise from now on, as long as I'm alive, I will give you a drop of blood every other month to help you evolve. He looked emphatically at the king of demonic insects. Whether or not you give me the life original fluid, this promise is valid as long as you stay with me. Even if, at some point in the future, you have given me all of your life original fluid, my words won't change. Then he pointed out and squeezed out 2 drops of his dark red immortal blood. He wrapped them with his thought and made the move towards the devouring gold silkworm and the king of demonic insects. These 2 living beings revealed their eager eyes watching the immortal blood. They took the drops in, and when they looked at Shi Yan again, their eyes had become friendlier. Shi Yan smiled, then nodded, shifting his look towards the ice-cold flame, the earth flame, and the Holy Spirit God. I don't know what kind of chance or special materials in heaven and earth you guys need to upgrade, but I promise you that one day when I have something that can benefit you guys, I'll give it to you immediately. Later on, if you find some places you want to stay and cultivate, I'll not force or bind you. I'll let you go. The ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, and the earth flame were the 3 living beings without physical entities. As they heard him say so, they all sent him thoughts to show their appreciation. There are many kinds of cultivating materials in this vault. Most of them are very good to humans, but I don't know if you guys want them or not. You can go and check. If you find something you want, or it's suitable for your cultivation, just take it. The ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, and the earth flame were excited, directly flying away to search around the vault. It was something that actually suited these 3 living beings. The 3 living beings had moved around the room, and unexpectedly found something that could help them evolve. They absorbed the materials, then returned to Shi Yan. Shi Yan's eyes brightened. Chapter 453, Memory Transmission. Chapter 453, Memory Transmission. If you guys are still living with me, I'll do my best to help you evolve. But I want to make it clear that even though you are with me, once I find out you have a different thought, I will not show you any mercy. Sure, Yen mused as his face darkened. Maybe my current cultivation base isn't enough to subdue you, but I believe that I can oppress you all one day. If any of you have the guts to betray me or do something harmful to me, even if you can run to the ends of the world, I'll make you pay a big price. I'll exterminate every trace of your existence. The 5 living beings didn't send him any message. Good then. I'm done with the bad words. Currently, I want to become a blacksmith, but I don't know anything about blacksmithing. Can any of you help me with this? I can. Unexpectedly, all 5 living beings sent him their thoughts simultaneously. Shurian dropped his jaw. I can tell you the refining method, what the Holy Spirit sect used to create me. I can also tell you that, explain the Holy Spirit God. That year, many blacksmiths had come to the center of the earth to borrow the melting heat of lava there to refine their secret treasures. As I was being stashed inside the scorching lava, I got to know some refining methods from those blacksmiths, said the earth flame. I don't know much, but I know the refining methods to create living beings like us. People from the heavenly palace had carved some refining formations on my body. Unexpectedly, even the devouring gold silkworm had answered him. It seemed after the devouring gold silkworm had obtained the immortal blood, its manners towards Shurian had a great change. I also have some formations to forge secret treasures, replied the king of demonic insects. I have some memories of the blacksmith. The ice-cold flame confidently sent him a message. If I impart these memory imprints to your head, you can become a blacksmith. The Holy Spirit God, the earth flame, the devouring gold silkworm, the king of demonic insects, and the ice-cold flame all sent him a positive answer telling him that they knew something subtle about blacksmithing, especially the ice-cold flame, whose soul was once occupied by a blacksmith, as it had a telepathic connection with that blacksmith. That was how it knew all the refining methods from that blacksmith. This surprised Shurian the most. Good. Excellent. Shurian laughed, as he was incredibly joyful. He wanted to fabricate something, but he couldn't become any sect's disciple. When he asked those living beings, he hadn't held any big expectations. Anyway, they weren't human beings, so he didn't think that they could help him much. Turned out it was beyond his expectation. Each of them knew something about the refining methods, more or less. We'll start with the Holy Spirit God. Please tell me the refining methods. Use the soul consciousness to lecture them all to me. Shurian sat down neatly in the vault, smiled, and waited for the soul consciousness of the Holy Spirit God. Flows of soul consciousness with all kinds of method to condense and refine the Holy Spirit God started to be imparted into his brain. The method to create the Holy Spirit God was the most precious method of the Holy Spirit sect in the Endless Sea. Beside the cult master of the Holy Spirit sect, even the senior elders in the sects with a profound cultivation base couldn't know about this. The Holy Spirit God was the condensed essence of refining. It knew the details of the refining process. Each beam of soul consciousness had become each fiber of memory in Shurian's brain, directly showing him the subtle features. The method to refine the Holy Spirit God was really mysterious. They had collected many strange demonic beasts, fine souls of human warriors, together with the other rare treasures with features. All of these were then smelted in the black cauldron, which was burned by more than 10 Nirvana realm, Sky realm, and God realm warriors of the Holy Spirit sect. They had imprinted their thoughts in it to nurture the blended soul inside the cauldron. Through many years of being refined and discharging impurities, the Holy Spirit God was gradually formed. Once the Holy Spirit God had its own consciousness, all disciples of the Holy Spirit sect would put their faith power in it to provide it a constant and torrential, peculiar energy to boost its growing pace. The Holy Spirit God then absorbed the chi from heaven and earth for years before it had finally become the real Holy Spirit God. This kind of refining method was strange, very different from the other standard methods. They used the soul to refine, collected faith power and chi from earth and firmament to condense, and the heavenly lightning to filter impurities. With only the ordinary train of thought, one wouldn't get to know the ingenious, mystical details related to it. As he was taking in the beams of pure thoughts in his head with the mysterious characteristics, Shuryen was panic-stricken and moved, but he sat still. It was unknown how long it had been since the Holy Spirit, God, stopped sending its memories. Shuryen was sinking into the state of mysterious refining conditions. He didn't recognize what was happening in the outside world. His body was now in a magical state, as both his heart and mind were learning from the imparted experiences to explain this marvelous refining method. It was like a brand new roll of drawing was gradually unfolded in his head. Through many details of the Holy Spirit, God's refining process, he had another level of knowledge, deeper than what he had known about the earth and the firmament. Using the power of earth and firmament and carving the ancient refining formations which carried all kinds of the most amazing inner essence, were also the ways of using intent domains. In the sky realm, each time the warriors broke through a realm, it wasn't only because of the profound chi they had accumulated. The recognition and good grasp of martial arts and intent domains were the keys to a successful breakthrough. Shuryen had a bottleneck he couldn't solve, but through the marvelous transmission of the Holy Spirit God's refining process, he vaguely felt that perhaps through refining, he could break through the realm and receive great benefits. He gradually woke up after an unknown period of immersing in this state. When he opened his eyes, he found that the 5 living beings were still floating in front of him, but the Holy Spirit God didn't send him any thoughts. Seeing him wake up, the earth flame regarded him and then started to send him some refining methods that it knew. Many blacksmiths would come to places which had the earth flame to refine their treasures. This could help shorten the refining time. The earth flame was fiercer than human flame, so it was more suitable to forge secret treasures. Those blacksmiths had borrowed the scorching lava inside a 10,000-year volcano to smelt the materials. They had shown many details and refining methods there. The earth flame had its own life and consciousness, and thanks to its curiosity, it had memorized many methods from the blacksmiths. Although it didn't know what those methods were used for, it knew they were extraordinarily precious experiences. If a blacksmith dared to use the earth flame to refine secret treasures, his realm wouldn't be low. The refining methods of those people were the essence. The earth flame had imparted these methods to Shuryen, among which were the standard methods and formations that blacksmiths used regularly. Shuryen knew that he couldn't perceive those mystical formations at once. He just tried his best to remember and carve those memories deep in his soul. Long after that, Shuryen woke up and looked at the devouring gold silkworm. The devouring gold silkworm then started to send messages to him. As it was a demonic beast, the refining methods it knew were related to demonic beasts. Those were the secret methods to refine beasts that the heavenly palace's warriors used. First, they would send their soul consciousness into the beast's soul, using the beast's favorite cultivating materials to earn its trust. Then, they would use their blood to feed the beast and gradually form a connection with it. When the beast used the warrior's blood and soul consciousness, it would eventually become a part of that warrior. The Heavenly Palace's methods of training beasts were different from the typical methods other blacksmiths had been using. Shuryen carefully considered each detail. He then found out that this refining method couldn't help him much at this time. Through this beast training method, Shuryen knew how to treat the devouring gold silkworm and the king of demonic insects, as he knew how to connect with the beasts. Suddenly, the king of demonic insects sent its soul consciousness to him. As expected, the refining methods it knew were similar to what the devouring gold silkworm had told him. Being a demonic beast, it used to have a master. The refining method it knew was what its former master had used to connect with it, tame it, and turn it into a part of his, combining its demonic power with his power. This wasn't what Shi Yan needed right now. Eventually, he looked at the ice-cold flame. The memories I have are really complicated and huge in amount. If I use the soul consciousness to impart them, you can't learn them clearly enough. The ice-cold flame sent him its thought. I can compress those memories into a streak of thought and store it in your sea of consciousness. But it takes time to perceive those memories for sure. How long it would take? It depends on your host soul's capacity. If your host soul can learn fast, your perceiving speed will be fast enough. Perhaps it would take half a year, I think. Yeah, it's already fast. Anyway, those memories belong to a real blacksmith. And that fellow was a spirit-level blacksmith. If you can be imparted with all those memories, I think you will be a real blacksmith too. It's the 100-year essence of a blacksmith. Shi Yan's eyes brightened. This was what he needed the most right now. This full knowledge of refining methods was the best for a beginner like him. Let's do it. I will open my mind to receive your memories. Excellent. The ice-cold flame didn't linger, turning into a beam of light and directly sinking into his mind. The icy cold spread out over Shi Yan's body entirely in just a blink. Although the ice-cold flame had suppressed its power, the cold air still chilled Shi Yan to the bone. It seemed like even his thoughts were frozen, and his consciousness was fuzzy. In his brain, the bizarre memories of the ice-cold flame were like diffusing, silky fibers of memories. Those fibers intertwined, then slowly condensed into memory. The thought inside that memory was really complicated and tangled. This thought then expanded to thousands of different scenes, while the light in this thought changed unceasingly. The ice-cold flame had released all the memories about the blacksmith, then turned back into a beam of light, leaving Shi Yan's head. Shi Yan's complexion was stiff. He closed his eyes and then immersed himself into a marvelous, intent domain, still maintaining his meditating position. Chapter 454. First time doing blacksmith job. Chapter 454. First time doing blacksmith job. It was the whole life experience of a spirit-level blacksmith. His host soul turned into a beam of light, entering the halo of the memories. It was like he had just visited a whole new earth and firmament. Scenes of treasure refining process appeared in that light of memory. It told the story of that spirit-level blacksmith from the time he had known nothing about refining. He then tried to practice the refining method. Step by step, he gradually held a good grasp of the secret techniques in refining treasures. His experience had been built up through thousands of times of refining treasures. The scenes of his progress were shown one by one inside the halo of memory. His host soul sank into it, watching countless scenes moving quickly in front of his eyes. It was like he was visiting a museum. All of a sudden, he felt helpless, as he didn't know where to start. He found the scene in which the blacksmith had started his training in refining treasures, calmed down, and started to perceive the practice. This spirit-level blacksmith used to know nothing about refining, and his knowledge of the subtle features of refining was just a white blank. The blacksmith used a human flame. The first time he refined something, he had used various metals and crystals to forge a rough ring. A simple spirit gathering array was carved on the ring to absorb the energy from the crystals. This ring was the simplest secret treasure with minor functions. It could absorb the profound chi and release it inside with just a flicker of thought from its master. But it could burst out only once. The energy a simple spirit gathering array could absorb was limited. Perhaps it wasn't even as strong as a full-force strike from a disaster realm warrior. However, to Shi Yan it was really tough to forge just a small treasure like that. He lingered on that scene, quieted down his mind to grasp the knowledge. It was an unknown period of time until he could remember all the details. He then left the halo of memory, wandering around the vault in search for the necessary materials to fabricate this spirit-gathering ring. His thought fluttered as he was urging the power of the earth flame in his body. A small flame emerged from his palm while his finger was continually pointing at the metals in front of him. The 3 types of black metals, jade crystals, and flint flew out one by one, falling into his small flame. Those 3 materials were being refined in the flame. He didn't know how long it had been until he was finally done. He then sent his soul consciousness into the flame. Inside the liquid that resulted from the 3 materials' complete smelting, he saw numerous impurities. Controlling the fiery flame, he started to melt these impurities down. However, when he had just enhanced the fiery flame, the liquid from the materials smelting evaporated directly. Yen frowned. He knew his first time refining something had failed. Apparently, he hadn't mastered his control over the fiery flame. When he wanted to use the flame to melt the impurities, he had pushed it a little too much and had accidentally evaporated the materials he had been refining. He hadn't even combined the materials completely. No need to mention embedding the spirit-gathering array in it. If he couldn't carve the spirit-gathering array, he couldn't even form the initial shape of the treasure. Shaking his head, Yen didn't feel angry. He didn't hurry to start it all over again, but tried to control the flame, using his soul and mind to control it. Gradually, he got used to the degree of the flame when he adjusted it, trying to feel it every time he increased the heat. This helped him have a more accurate heat control. This process took him a lot of time. Waiting until he realized that he could control the fiery flame well enough to refine the impurities, he took out a new set of the 3 materials and continued to forge the spirit-gathering ring. When the 3 materials were gradually being melted in the flame, he was able to control the flame well to increase or decrease the power in time. He was extremely careful this time. The fiery flame was increasing little by little. After it reached the right degree, the liquid from the materials melting didn't evaporate while the impurities had been turning into smoke, burning down inside the flame. He felt joy. However, when he continued to increase the heat, the 3 materials continued to be melted. He immediately knew that the temperature was over the 3 materials' yielding limit. He tried doing it again. The cultivating materials in this vault were really rich, enough for him to waste. In this vault, he didn't care about his meals or sleep, and wholly focused on his first treasure refining. The spirit-gathering ring was one of the simplest secret treasures, as it required only 3 kinds of materials. He had tried 8 times before he could finally have it done. Eventually, he could eliminate the impurities. After he had fused the 3 materials, he used the cold air from the ice-cold flame. As the cold ice was released, the 3 materials which had been combined in one chunk suddenly condensed. Crack! Due to the intense cold air, the 3 materials cracked down into pieces of brown stone. He failed again. Yen took a deep breath, rubbed his temples, and beamed a forced smile. The simplest procedure of refining treasure had wasted much of his energy. Not only did he need to precisely control the heat of the earth flame, but also needed to be patient when he condensed the material, as it required to be carried out in an orderly way and couldn't be finished in a rush. The more impatient he was, the faster he would fail. This was like the cultivation process of a warrior. Calming down his mind, he proceeded to a new round of refining process. Time flew. After 9 times of failure inside the vault, he had an absolutely new realization in using cold air to condense the melted materials. Finally, he had successfully refined the 3 materials into the initial shape of the ring. The jade-like, transparent ring had undergone so many failures to have this primary shape of a ring, inscribing the spirit-gathering array. His intention changed. He concentrated attentively on refining the profound qi in his body, turning it into a beam of light pouring into the spirit-gathering ring, guiding the strange energy of the materials inside the spirit-gathering ring. He started to work like he was painting. Under the guidance of the soul consciousness, he engraved the spirit gathering array on the spirit gathering ring. Beams of soul consciousness attached to the spirit gathering ring. His soul consciousness was moving at extremely fast speed. Each time he had urged this strange energy, his own energy was consumed much. Only a small mistake would chaotically disrupt the path created by the strange energies. Strange energies in the spirit gathering ring suddenly ran disorderly like a group of mad horses. A crack echoed from the spirit gathering ring, and it exploded. Sure, Yen had a headache, shaking his head while looking at the broken ring. He mused for a while before starting all over again. He had failed 12 times already. When carving the spirit gathering array, the energy to be spent would be enormous, which would cause some minor mistake midway. After each mistake, the spirit gathering array would change accordingly, leading to the explosion of the ring. To portray the array, he had to do it coherently without any interruption in the middle of the process. Also, he must not distract himself to lead to any mistakes, even the tiny ones. Only when he had done everything accurately in carving the complete spirit gathering array on the ring could he retrieve his soul consciousness. It was simple to say, but really tough to do. He had done the trials continuously, and his failures also came successively. This attack almost had him collapsed, giving him a dispirited feeling, as if he could never see the hope of success. The simplest refining had unexpectedly wasted a lot of his energy and will. But he still hadn't succeeded. He now realized that the blacksmith stuff was even more strenuous than Warrior's cultivating process. In the past, he had progressed quickly from the nascent realm, and none of the difficulties he had met were as tough and complicated as this refining. Sitting neatly in the vault, he frowned while looking at the materials he had trashed. Sure, Yen then held his breath to concentrate and restore his mind. After adjusting his breath for a while, he felt his mind and qi had been recovered to the peak and attempted one more time. This time, the embryonic form of the spirit gathering ring had been created several times faster than his previous trials. Practice made a man perfect, that was surely true. After many times of refining, he didn't fail to make the embryonic form of the ring. Afterward, the spirit gathering ring was finished. He then used his soul consciousness to urge the strange energies of the three materials themselves and guide them to draft the spirit gathering array. He was completely concentrating this time. He didn't even blink, just kept gazing at the spirit gathering ring. The thoughts from his soul consciousness turned into light beams, guiding the strange energies running inside the spirit gathering ring. He was using his soul consciousness to carve the simple array. Moreover, he was receiving constant feedback from the mystical essence of this array. Due to his extreme focus, sweat had covered his entire body not long after he had started. Beads of sweat were rolling down his face from his forehead. He didn't dare get distracted. As if he were entering the bedevilment phase, his mind was wandering in some mysterious realm while his soul consciousness was traveling through the ring. He carefully controlled the strange energies and drew the simple spirit gathering array. This step was to complete the ring, drawing it at one go. Tinkle! A tinkling sound echoed from the spirit gathering ring as the ring was radiating an immense silver halo. Inside the ring was a weak suction force that ordinary people couldn't sense. Sure Yan was drenched in sweat, smilingly looking at the silvery spirit gathering ring. He then took out a medium-quality profound qi crystal and put it in the ring. The spirit gathering array on the ring was invisible at first, but after the profound qi started to pour into the ring, it gradually appeared, as the small ring had activated its magical suction force to draw the energy. The spirit gathering spell on the ring had been activated. The ring started to absorb beams of energy inside the profound qi crystal as the spirit gathering array guided them into the ring. Roughly 1 hour later, a medium-quality profound qi crystal had turned into stone. The energy inside had been absorbed completely. After the ring had absorbed energy from a medium quality, profound chi crystal, it became translucent. Moreover, the silver halo was getting brighter and could light up the area 10 meters around it. Shi Yan took out a high-quality, profound chi crystal and put it in the spirit gathering ring. He then observed the process where the ring was taking in the energy. Soon that crystal was drained. Shi Yan smiled, as he felt he had achieved something really good. He put another high-quality, profound chi crystal inside the ring. 1 day had passed, and the spirit gathering ring had absorbed 5 profound chi crystals. The ring became dazzling. Inside the ring, vehement surging energy was rippling. If he released the energy at once, it would be equal to a full force strike of a disaster realm warrior. Shi Yan felt content. At his first time in refining treasures, after so many failures, he aced it in the end. Chapter 455, Top Dog. Chapter 455, Top Dog. As he had successfully fabricated the spirit gathering ring, Shi Yan finally gained his first experience in refining. He took some materials for his later refining process and then left the vault. It was hard for the Yang family to restore the peace in the house. Yang Zhuo and the others saw him walking towards them and couldn't help but ask what he had done during the 2 months he had spent in the vault. He answered them that he had stayed there to perceive his realm, but he didn't mention anything related to refining. It had been 2 months. The stubborn warriors in Barren City had behaved well, as they had paid the fees on time and didn't dare conduct impudent provocations. As Ming Hai's group had been killed, human warriors in Barren City realized that even though Yang Tian Emperor had been confined somewhere, the Yang family still had the power to make them wish to die rather than being tortured alive. Under Shi Yan's brutal deeds, those people didn't dare to remain obstinate, as they were getting back to their normal manners toward the Yangs. The Black Flood Dragon clan hadn't sent any messenger to show their friendliness. This strongest tribe in the seabed seemed not to have any reaction to the great event created by the Yang family in Barren City. Seemed like they weren't about to give their opinions either. The 3 great chiefs of the Silver Shark clan, the Naga tribe and the Water Scorpion tribe, had shown their attitudes, which calmed the Yang family. So, even if they hadn't received any reactions from the Black Flood Dragon clan, they still felt fine. Big Uncle, any move up there on the sea? In the great hall of the Yang family, Shi Yan furrowed his brows, asking for the events that happened during the 2 months. According to you, you had sent someone to the Xia family in the vault of Heaven Sea area. Have they given us an answer? The Xia family has responded. They said that we can leave Barren City and stay in the vault of Heaven Sea area. Yang Zhuo smiled. Xia Qing Ho has kept our old friendship in mind. He said that if the Yang family moves to the vault of Heaven Sea area, he will give us 3 islands, so we can stay and cultivate there. Seems like Xia Qing was a good person. Shi Yan nodded. So, what did you answer him? If you hadn't come to Barren City, perhaps we would have left here and stayed in the vault of Heaven Sea area as Xia Qing had offered us. Yang Zhuo's face became serious. Anyway, if we want to move to the vault of Heaven Sea area, I'm not sure if the other fellows of the Endless Sea would track us down and trouble us. We haven't had the good relationship with the Penglai Holy Land and the Martial Spirit Palace. As we're living in Barren City, we're out of their reach, and they can't do anything to us. But if we come to their territory, it's unknown if they would want to deal with us. I replied him that we've solved the problem in Barren City. So, we don't have the intention to go up to the sea for now. Sounds fine. Shi Yan mused for a while, then spoke up again. Big Uncle, I want to visit the Black Flood Dragon clan. I can't ease my mind as long as that Nu Lang keeps silent. Only when we can deal with the Black Flood Dragon clan and made Nu Lang approve our position in Barren City can we stay at ease. Nu Lang's a conservative man. He's hard to deal with. Yang Zhuo's complexion slightly changed. Recently, Although the Black Flood Dragon clan hasn't gone against the Yang family, their attitude towards us isn't friendly either. If the Yang family hadn't done many good things for the tribes undersea, I think Nu Lang wouldn't be content with his own lot. As we've been in the disadvantageous position, together with the troubles given by the Chow family and the Martial Spirit Palace, I don't know what calculation Nu Lang has. Because we don't know his attitude towards this, I want to visit the Black Flood Dragon clan once to solve this problem. Are you sure? Yang Mu wore a solemn face and said seriously, Little Yen, I can't think about how you have the confidence to persuade Nu Lang. Yang Zhou, Yang Shui, and the others also had their suspicions. During the 2 months Shi Yan was staying in the vault, Yang Mu's group had considered it, but they couldn't know why Shi Yan could be so sure about it. They were worried that if Shi Yan went to the Black Flood Dragon clan and had any dispute with them, the members of that clan would trouble him a lot. Although Shi Yan had shown that he was strong enough to deal with the Spirit Realm warriors 2 months ago, members of the Yang family were still worried about him. No matter what, Nu Lang was the strongest warrior of the Sea tribes, with a cultivation base at the third sky of Spirit Realm. Even if he were in the Endless Sea, with his realm and cultivation base, everyone would have to fear him. Chao Chiu Dao and Yang Yi Tian could have outstanding competences thanks to the fortuitous encounter. In fact, their actual realm wasn't as high as Nu Lang's. This was the reason why warriors from Endless Sea didn't dare to come and mess up with people undersea. Nu Lang's third sky of Spirit Realm had subdued human warriors, making the ones who had wild schemes towards the seabed content with their lot. Without Nu Lang, perhaps Chao Chiu Dao, Yang Titian, and the others would have soon extended their tentacles to the undersea. Nu Lang wasn't a friendly person, with an ill temper and cruel personality. In these recent years, he had never shown mercy to humans who dared to swagger in the seabed. Once there were humans who provoked the dignity of the sea tribes, Nu Lang would definitely take action to make those wanton humans recognize the fierceness of the sea tribes. Little Yen, if you want to meet Nu Lang, you have to make sure everything's prepared. Yang Zhou contemplated, and then said solemnly, If you can't be 100% sure, you'd better wait for a while until your great-grandfather comes back from the demon area. It would be much better if you visit Nu Lang at that time. No need to wait, Shi Yan smiled. I'm sure, because I have the thing Nu Lang has wanted the most. Yang Zhuo's group was surprised. Heaven flame. Shi Yan grinned. A fiery flame burst out from his palm with a scorching heat. In just a blink of an eye, Yang Zhuo and other people had sweat on their bodies. The eyes of Yang Zhuo's group all brightened. Heaven flame. Yang Zhuo was dumbfounded as he was shaking. It isn't the Ian Cold class ice cold flame, right? What kind of heaven flame is that? Little Yen, is this flame of yours the real heaven flame? He knew about the ice cold flame in Shi Yan's body. However, the ice cold flame had the Ian Cold features that weren't suitable for refining treasures. Thus, although he knew that Nu Lang was frustrated to find a blazing fiery flame, he didn't think about Shi Yan's ice-cold flame. As Yang Zhuo saw the earth flame with its really high temperature when Shi Yan had just released it, his eyes brightened up immediately. Now he knew that besides the ice-cold flame, Shi Yan had such an amazing fiery flame that was absolutely suitable for refining treasures. Little Yen, how could you have this thing? Yang Mu was wearing an excited face as he was extremely joyfully. Why do you fella always have the treasures that everybody desperately yearns for? The legend about the heaven flames has been spread out in the endless sea for so many years, but we've rarely seen one. Why you always have those strange living beings? Good karma, Shi Yan smiled. Yang Shui and Li Feng had astonished light flash across their pretty eyes as they were looking at Shi Yan with joy. This is excellent. Yang Zhuo laughed, patting on his shoulder, and then said happily, with the heaven flame, no matter how stubborn Nu Lang is, he should know well to consider it. Ha! No wonder you're afraid of nothing. Turns out, beside the ice-cold flame, you have this kind of heaven flame. Don't worry, smiled Shiryen. Everybody nodded with a bright complexion. Where's the Black Flood Dragon Clan? Yeah, Li Feng has visited there once. She knows the Black Flood Dragon Clan. Just let her take you there. Yang Zhuo rolled his eyes and suddenly gave his suggestion. Traces of being astonished crossed Li Feng's beautiful eyes. It was like her elegant face was glowing as she agreed with pleasure. I've been to the Black Flood Dragon Clan. If you want to go there, I will guide you. Huh. I'm not sure what attitude those Black Flood Dragon Clan fellows would wear if they know you have what New Lang needs. That's good. When will you set off? Yang Zhuo smiled. Well, I'm free anyway, so we can go now. For the time being, I think there would be nothing big happening in Baron City. What do you think? All right. Yang Zhuo nodded, shifted his line of sight to Li Feng, and then spoke up again with an odd face. Little Feng, I give Shiryen to you. Don't bully him along the way. How can I dare? Li Feng giggled, her pupils sparking with her high spirit. It's the best if he doesn't bully me. He's much more dangerous than I am. Even if I want to bully him, I'm not able to do so. Yeah, in short, you have to behave. Yang Zhuo arched his eyebrows, laughing. We should go. Sure, Yen didn't linger. Reminded Yang Zhuo something, then left with Li Feng. After they had left the Yang family, he didn't hurry to leave the barren city, but visited a tavern in the city. Boy, are you coming for a drink again? Last time you said that you're a member of the Yang family. Did you lie to us? The storekeeper remembered him, greeting him with a smile. I heard that the Yangs have a top dog who killed Ming Hai, Yen Feng, and the other two. If you are one of the Yangs, you have to know him. Eh? Haha. If he comes to our shop, I will give him free wine. What? Shiryen was surprised, smiled. Why you will give him free wine? Baron City has restored its order, laughed the waiter. If Ming Hai and his men didn't die, we don't know how the barren city would have looked like in the future. Lucky us that they died. We can live in peace now. Yeah, it's best if the Yang family still controls Barren City. Ming Hai, this bastard only wanted to seek the temporary benefits. They couldn't manage the city. Bring me 10 bottles of good wine. Here you go. The waiter replied to him cheerily. Shiryen, you drank here last time? Li Feng chuckled as her shining eyes scanned through the tavern. Yes. After a while, the waiter brought him 10 bottles of wine. Sure, Yen put them in his storage ring, but he didn't pay. Instead, he smiled and said, I'm not going to pay this time. Later on, you don't need to pay revenue tax fee in Barren City. If someone comes to collect the fee, told them I said that. A.H. The shopkeeper and the waiter shouted in awe. Swaying his hand, Shiryen turned into a beam of light and flew out of Barren City. I'm that top dog you said. The shopkeeper and the waiter were shaken as their eyes were lit up. Chapter 456. The Strongest Warrior. Chapter 456. The Strongest Warrior. Deep inside the seabed of the Darkwater territory stood the black, extinct volcano ranges. Each extinct volcano colossally towered the seabed, just like rows of sharp swords jutted up to the sea surface. It was where the Black Flood Dragon Clan dwelled. It was unknown why the extinct volcano ranges had sunk deep into the ground. Each volcano was thousands of meters high. Situated on the mountainsides and the summits of those volcanoes were buildings constructed from some kind of ink-black stone. At first glance, it looked like those buildings were made from black iron, very sharp with distinguishing features. Rumors said that the ancestor of the Black Flood Dragon Clan was a level 10 Black Flood Dragon, whose supernatural power could penetrate the sky and destroy the earth. Very terrifying. That level 10 demonic beast Black Flood Dragon had mated with human females and bred many human-beast hybrids. They are the Black Flood Dragon clan's members. The Black Flood Dragon clan has the Black Flood Dragon and human bloodline. They have dark, sharp horns on their heads and have the ability to transform into the half-monster shape. In the seawater, Li Feng pointed at the place in front of them and explained to Shi Yan. Since the Black Flood Dragon clan members aren't the real Black Flood Dragons, they don't have the sturdy physique of the dragon, but they have the intellect that the Black Flood Dragons lack. Members of the Black Flood Dragon clan get along well with the real Black Flood Dragons and consider them their best allies. See, we can find the Black Flood Dragon beasts inside those extinct volcanoes. What? Yeah, the Black Flood Dragon clan and the Black Flood Dragons can live in harmony because they share the same bloodlines. Usually, the average level of the Black Flood Dragons is level 6, although they're small in number. They're the overlords of the beasts undersea. They aren't afraid of anything. In the middle of the extinct volcanoes, I think there are even level 8 Black Flood Dragons. A level 8 Black Flood Dragon's as strong as a Spirit Realm Warrior. Nu Lang's a third sky of Spirit Realm Warrior. So, who's stronger, the level 8 Black Flood Dragon or him? Nu Lang. That level 8 Black Flood Dragon is Nu Lang's associated beast. Since Nu Lang was born, he has had his blood interlinked with it. Li Feng frowned and explained to him with a soft tone. A part of the Black Flood Dragon clan's population would interlink their blood with the Black Flood Dragons. Once they could form the soul and blood connection with the beast, they can become its master. Then they can thrive together, humans and beasts. In this association, they have been living together from birth, and their lives are connected by a subtly mysterious connection that we can't explain. So, what makes it different from the beasts we have tamed? Of course it's different. This association is formed with lives. If the Black Flood Dragon dies, the clansman who's its master will die, too. Correspondingly, if the Black Flood Dragon clan's member, who is the beast's master, dies, the beast interlinked with him will die together. Li Feng held a serious face. This association's really magical. I heard that it could fuse the master and the beast into one to promote their best combined power. There aren't many members of the Black Flood Dragon clan can connect with the Black Flood Dragons. However, they are all the key members of the clan. Among the sea tribes, the Black Flood Dragon clan's small. In Endless Sea, I heard that there are just some members of the Black Flood Dragon clan living there. However, each clansman of the Black Flood Dragon clans more excellent than the other sea tribes members at the same realm. With the aid of the Black Flood Dragon beasts, they become even more intimidating. Sure, Yen was dumbstruck for a while before he could speak up again. So, the Black Flood Dragon clan's members with the Black Flood Dragon beasts can have the superior power over the other warriors. It's true, Li Feng nodded solemnly. So, you have to think it over again. Nu Lang has the cultivation base at the third sky of Spirit Realm, and he also has a level 8 Black Flood Dragon beast. Can you imagine how formidable his real competence is? Shi Yan was shocked. So, Nu Lang's even more dangerous than Qi Yan and Bo Sun. It's hard to tell before engaging in a fight with him. Li Feng still wore a serious complexion, mused, then spoke again. I think if Nu Lang fights with Qi Yan and Bo Sun, his chance to win will be a little bit higher. The reason why Chao Qiu Dao and Yang Yitian didn't want to provoke the sea tribes, even when they were at their peak state, was because of Nu Lang. According to you, Nu Lang's the strongest warrior both undersea and on the sea of the Endless Sea, isn't he? People living on the seabed think so. No matter it be the sea tribes dwelling on the seabed or humans living in Barren City, they all think that Nu Lang's the best warrior with real fame and competence, and Chao Qiu Dao and Yang Yitian aren't his matches. Fortunately, the sea tribes don't have good secret treasures. Otherwise, I think even people on the sea would consider him the strongest warrior of the entire Endless Sea, said Li Feng. Yan's face slightly changed. My great-grandfather was really brave that year. He talked again after a long while of silence. As he dared to provoke a man like that, I think my great-grandfather has the biggest guts in the endless sea. Haha. Can't believe his real competence is at the true God realm. Nu Lang's really intimidating. No wonder why the unruly Yin Hui has to bow to him. Of course, if Nu Lang voices his opinions, the members of the Silver Shark clan, the Naga tribe, and the Water Scorpion tribe have to obey his words. All members of the sea tribes acknowledge Nu Lang's existence as what guarantees the peace for the sea tribes. As long as Nu Lang stays well, the Endless Sea's warriors won't have the courage to plan anything on the sea tribes. Li Feng giggled while looking at him. Now you know how imposing Nu Lang is? Later on, when you meet Nu Lang, you should behave. He isn't Bao Wen or Bao Ku. Even if you can use the external force to reach the spirit realm cultivation base, you're no match for him. Okay, I will be more careful. Yin caressed his nose and nodded reluctantly. Before they had got here, he actually didn't overestimate Nu Lang, as he thought that he would have the power as strong as Qi Yan or Bo Sun at most. However, from Li Feng's explanation, he knew that Nu Lang perhaps was more dangerous than the other two. This made him more cautious. Since his debut, the strongest warrior he had ever encountered was the demon King Qi Yan. In Yuan Lu Si area, when Qi Yan had struck out, he had revealed his imposing power, which made Yan remember him for a long time. Even now, when he recalled the heaven-shaking deeds of Qi Yan, he still felt cold inside, as he knew that even if he could borrow all the energies, he couldn't gain the upper hand against Qi Yan. Due to his clear recognition of this, after he had entered his sky realm, and when the ice-cold flame, the earth flame, and the Holy Spirit God had all recovered, he still didn't dare to go to Huan Luo Si area to find Qi Yan and take revenge. He wasn't an impulsive person. If he weren't sure about something, he wouldn't do it recklessly. Compared to the peak warriors, he still lacked something, but he also had some advantages. His mysterious martial spirit. The martial spirit he got when he had first entered this strange world had an immense ability, which could greatly boost his speed to break the bottleneck while entering a new realm. He knew what he lacked now was time and practice. If he had more time, he could enter a brand new realm in just a short while. One day, he would be stronger than Qi Yan, and he could finish that grudge. He had this confidence. Well, Nu Lang's really dangerous. If you help him refine rare treasures this time, he will become the overlord of the entire world. Li Feng held a wry smile. No one knows if Nu Lang would stay still undersea. Currently, the situation of the Endless Sea is too complicated. If he wants to stir up the Endless Sea, not many people can stop him. Yan arched his brow. This was also a problem. Not only the Black Flood Dragon clan could live undersea. If there was a suitable place on the sea, they could also live there as well. Nu Lang had the absolute ruling position in the sea tribes. If he had dark ambitions towards the Endless Sea, he could directly lead the hotshots of the sea tribes to enter the sea area, taking the chance while the Endless Sea was currently in chaos. This would be an immense advantage to the sea tribes. It had happened before. Legend said that the sea tribes had united and had a great war with the warriors of the Endless Sea in an attempt to take a sea area in the Endless Sea thousands of years ago. Although they lost that war under the union of the human warriors, they had caused a great loss to the elite force of the warriors in the Endless Sea. After that war, the sea tribes had got back to the seabed and stayed there for several thousands of years without provoking people on the sea anymore. But now, the sea tribes had an earth-shaking character like Nu Lang, who could make all of the tribes undersea believe in him. If he rose his hand and planned something to make use of the chaotic situation in the Endless Sea for the benefit of all sea tribes, Yin Hui, Li Sha, and Bao Ku would be willing to go and fight together with him. Forget it. The Endless Sea's messed up enough. Moreover, it's not sure that the sea tribes would be our misery. contemplating for a while. Shi Yan comforted himself. Up there we have Qi Yan, Bo Sun, Chao Chiu Dao, and Yang Yitian. Perhaps my great-grandfather would return soon. We have so many strong warriors up there. Even if Nu Lang goes up to the sea, it's difficult for him to control the situation. At most, he could only make the endless sea more disorderly. Having heard that, Li Feng could only agree with him. They were talking along the way. Not long after that, they showed themselves in front of the extinct volcanoes. Members of the Yang family from Baron City would like to meet Patriarch Nu Lang. Li Feng slightly bowed, then pitched her voice. A 30-meter-tall black flood dragon came out of an extinct volcano. Its whole body was covered in black iron scales. The dragon had big horns on its head, with the eyes as big as a fist, flaring up with a horrendous light. That black flood dragon was a level 7 beast. After it came out from the extinct volcano, its giant red pupils gazed at Shi Yan and Li Feng cruelly. There seated a Sky Realm member of the Black Flood Dragon clan on the head of that black flood dragon. He had humanoid form accompanied with a half-a-meter black horn on his head. This dark-skinned man looked at Shi Yan's group coldly and then mocked. Juniors from the Yangs, what kind of qualification you have to ask for meeting up with our patriarch? Even if Yang Tian Emperor came here himself, I'm not sure our patriarch would like to meet him. What do you depend on for your request? Depends on my heaven flame. Shi Yan grinned, then extended his arm. The earth flame burst out. Its flame was flickering mystically in the water. The seawater had constantly been evaporated, but the flame was still increasing in ferocity, not even affected a bit by the water. Chapter 457. Famous reputation spreads far and wide. Chapter 457. Famous reputation spreads far and wide. The eyes of the man from the Black Flood Dragon clan brightened. Even Yin Hui and Li Sha knew that Nu Lang wanted to refine something. As a member of the tribe, of course, he knew it. The seabed didn't have a fiery mount of flames. As Nu Lang had been worrying about the fiery flame, he was really hot-tempered recently. Since he had failed in refining many times, many clansmen of the Black Flood Dragon clan had received lessons from him. Seeing the fiery flame on Shi Yan's palm, this man was moved. He then changed his attitude. Is that a real heaven flame? He looked at the earth flame on Shi Yan's palm and opened his mind to sense, and was scared as a result. The heaven flames were the most mysterious fiery flames in the world. They had their own consciousness and lives. As their heat was much hotter than the earth flames, they were the best flames to refine treasures. A warrior who had the firmament flame, if he wanted, could become an excellent blacksmith and earn respect from all other warriors. The high-temperature, fiery flame that Shi Yan was showing off couldn't be hidden. Although he was hundreds of meters away from Shi Yan, he could still feel dry and hot. I think you have the answer whether or not it's the heaven flame. Sure, Yan calmly retrieved the earth flame and grinned. Your patriarch needs guys like me the most at this moment. If I help him, it will be no problem for him to refine rare treasures. Yeah, I think you can go and report now, right? Many members of the Black Flood Dragon clan were poking out from the sharp buildings, one after another, looking at Shi Yan with a surprised face. Although Shi Yan's countenance was indifferent, he was shocked inside. There were around 70 or 80 members of the Black Flood Dragon clan revealing themselves from the extinct volcanoes. Each of them had the massive aura. The worst of them were at the Earth Realm or the Nirvana Realm, while Sky Realm warriors were everywhere. Everybody said that the Black Flood Dragon clan was the strongest tribe among the tribes living on the seabed. Each member of this clan had a remarkable power with exquisite cultivation base. Their reputation was true indeed. Sure, I'm going to report now. That man didn't dare to hesitate more, patting his black flood dragon, and then turned into a black light, flying away. From the extinct volcanoes, The people of the Black Flood Dragon clan were gazing at Shi Yan and Li Feng with cold eyes, silently assessing them. "You are Shi Yan." A thin Black Flood Dragon clan man with pockmarked face eyed him for a while, then raised his voice to ask. Shi Yan smiled and nodded. The members of the Black Flood Dragon clan looked shaken as the light in their eyes got more intense. During this time, among the tribes living in the sea, Shi Yan's reputation was spread far and wide. He had used his Sky Realm cultivation base to hurt Bao Wen and make Bao Ku approve his identity in Barren City. Even Yin Hui and Li Sha agreed not to interfere with the business in Barren City anymore. As he got the approval from the leaders of the 3 clans, his name was pushed to an outstanding position. All the Sea Tribes members knew that besides Yang Tian Emperor, the Yangs had another new prominent young man who was even more arrogant than Yang Tian Emperor, with an even better natural endowment. The name of Shi Yan had spread everywhere on the seabed. They didn't expect that the visitor would be this kid. The Black Flood Dragon clan's members were shaken as they were assessing him in silence to see which dangerous features he had. Li Feng felt quite uncomfortable under the eyes of the Black Flood Dragon clan's members. Shi Yan, you should be careful. Although Nu Lang's reputation isn't bad, you still have to pay attention. If Nu Lang wants to attack you after you have helped him refine treasures, I think it's hard for you to escape. Yes, I'll be careful. As Nu Lang was the patriarch of the Black Flood Dragon clan, the #1 warrior of the Sea Tribes, he held the highest position in the eyes of the Sea Tribes members. People had appraised Nu Lang to be good and sincere, and that he wasn't deceitful or a sinister person. Usually his conduct was straightforward and upright. He wouldn't do anything unacceptable. But still he was a member of the Sea Tribes. The Sea Tribes members had always been guarding against the warriors on the sea. If Nu Lang considered him a future harm to the Sea Tribes, he would kill Shi Yan first. It wasn't impossible strangling Shi Yan when he was still in his cradle to solve the big trouble for the Sea Tribes. Also, if Nu Lang really did that, the members of the Sea Tribes would never spread any bad things about him. Well, in short, everything should be done with care. I'm afraid Nu Lang would do that. Li Feng was worried. That year, our housemaster had come here and created an intense situation with Nu Lang. I'm afraid Nu Lang still holds that grudge. Don't provoke him. Just get things done and leave. I know how to do it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Still, I need to take a little risk here. The Black Flood Dragon clan's man who had just left returned quickly. He gestured Shi Yan to follow him. Don't enter the Black Flood Dragon clan. Just stay out there. Shi Yan told Li Feng and stepped in the territory of the Black Flood Dragon clan. Under the guidance of the Black Flood Dragon clan's man, he flew to the mountain pass of the extinct volcano where Nu Lang dwelled. Extinct volcanoes glided one by one under his body. Each of them was an imposing existence that frightened people. Although he couldn't use soul consciousness to sense, Shi Yan knew that there would be dormant Black Flood Dragon beasts inside those volcanoes. Only the giant demonic beasts like the Black Flood Dragons could emit such a tremendous aura. There were at least 10 Black Flood Dragons standing on the extinct volcano beneath him. The worst of them was the level 6 Black Flood Dragon. Most of them were at level 7. The level 7 Black Flood Dragons were much stronger than human Sky Realm warriors. Especially when they were in the water, they had the ability to control the water currents. Sharp mouths with brute force, they were the most formidable beasts in the seabed. Having sensed for a while, Shi Yan was frightened as he had a deeper knowledge about the Black Flood Dragon clan. The power of this clan was more intimidating than that of the Chow family or the Martial Spirit Palace in Endless Sea. Moreover, there are the other tribes undersea like the Silver Shark clan, the Water Scorpion tribe, and the Naga tribe. Once they got out of the water and launched their attack on the human warriors, the result of this war could be seen even before it started. All of a sudden, he was worrying whether or not his decision to help Nu Lang refine treasures was a correct move. Here we are. The patriarch asked you to go there alone. The man of the Black Flood Dragon clan took Shi Yan to the cone of an extinct volcano, pointed down to gesture that Shi Yan should descend and meet Nu Lang alone. Thank you. Putting aside the worries in his mind, Shi Yan held his breath and concentrated his mind, discreetly alert while slowly lowering down the mountain pass. Around 15 minutes later, he landed at the foot of the extinct volcano. Unexpectedly, this area was lit up brightly. Countless shining crystals were inlaid on the mountain flank to illuminate the area. Those crystals could even light up the darkest areas of this mountain. Lying in the middle of the area was a massive, scorching magma pond. However, there was no magma, but piles of scarlet flame crystals inside it. The scarlet flame crystal was the most scorching ore. With the urge from energy, it could burst out a blazing flame. Each piece of the scarlet flame crystal could provide an enormous amount of energy from flame. Numerous scarlet flame crystals filled the magma pond. While there was no urge from any energy, those crystals just radiated a red, hot light. Next to the magma pond were all kinds of materials to refine treasures. There were some diamonds, cold iron, flowing gold sand, and star jades. Shi Yan was startled at first glance. There were many materials for refining treasures, and each of them was precious. They were piled around the magma pond. Some of them were so scarce that even the Yang family couldn't collect them. The other sky realm warriors could go crazy seeing those materials. Even on the endless sea, there were many materials that they could only see by chance once in hundreds of years. Those materials filled the pond, and under the shining light of the bright crystals were reflecting charming halo. Precursor Nu Lang does have a lot of raw materials. You've been storing a lot of materials like these. I wonder what kind of rare, earth-shaking treasures you want to refine. Shi Yan took a deep breath while observing here and there, smiled and said, Nu Lang hadn't shown himself yet. However, Shi Yan knew that Nu Lang was right here, but he had hidden his aura to seclude his whereabouts. This made Shi Yan unable to find him. Since he had arrived the mountain foot, even if he didn't see Nu Lang, he could sense someone watching him. While he was eyeing the refining materials, Nu Lang should be staying somewhere secretly, watching each move of his to guess his realm and characteristics. Kid, you have big guts. As you dare to come here alone, aren't you afraid that I will kill you? A boorish voice came from the mountain foot, then reverberated unceasingly between the rocky walls, shattering some pieces of rock. Shi Yan could only feel the rumbling sound in his ears. It had even entered his brain and affected his sea of consciousness as it was shaken all of a sudden. His mind shivered. He immediately retrieved his soul consciousness to ensure that it wouldn't get affected. The 5 dormant devils in the sea of consciousness seemed to tremble due to this noise before they could gradually calm down. In the swamp area of that exotic land, the 5 devils had devoured many hollow spirits. Since then, they had started to evolve. This process had been started for a long time. However, it seemed not to be finished yet. Shi Yan was a little bit disappointed as he found the 5 devils didn't wake up. What should I fear? Shi Yan smiled, looking at the scarlet flame crystals in the magma pond. With Precursor Nu Lang's moral standing, you'll not take action against a junior like me. Furthermore, I came with goodwill this time. I think Precursor Nu Lang should be treating me well. Kid, do you really have the heaven flame? Nu Lang's voice arose again. If I didn't have the heaven flame, I'd definitely not dare to come here. He extended his arms, and the earth flame burst out. As the fiery flame came out, the scarlet flame crystals in the magma pond were ignited, releasing the furious flame up to the sky. The flame immediately covered the whole mountain foot. When the scarlet flame crystals met the fiery flame energy, they could blaze up better. As a type of heaven flame, the earth flame could incite the potential of the scarlet flame crystals. The temperature at the mountain foot had rocketed to an extreme level in just a flash. It's really the heaven flame. Nu Lang shouted, showed himself, and arrived in front of Shi Yan. Chapter 458. See Clearly. Chapter 458. See Clearly. He was a middle-aged man, around 2 meters tall. The man had a dark skin and chiseled face, accompanied by a divine light shooting out of his eyes. He wasn't angry, but still looked full of prestige. He came to Shi Yan, threw him a look, and asked, "Are you Shi Yan?" "Yes." "Not bad." Nu Lang nodded, then snorted. "You could defeat the brothers Bao Wen and Bao Ku with your sky realm cultivation base. Seems the Yang family has another dangerous warrior. Yang Tian Emperor has a good destiny that he has a brat like you to fill his slot when he is being confined in the demon area." Shi Yan smiled and didn't say anything. "You came here to help me refine treasures, which will make me approve the overlord position of the Yang family in Barren City, right?" "Yes." "It's not a big deal. As long as you can please me, I can promise you that." "Thank you." "I don't like people watching me when I'm refining treasures. You tell your heaven flame, and then I'll imprison you for the time being." His visage slightly changed, but eventually Shi Yan agreed, all right. Then he contacted the earth flame, asking it to pay attention to Nu Lang and help him to refine treasures. The earth flame answered that it understood the matter. As Nu Lang saw the heaven flame floating above the scarlet flame crystals, releasing the burning fiery flame, he suddenly snatched it. Dark halo rippled out from above and covered Shi Yan in a flash. Inside the dark light shell, Shi Yan couldn't see anything out there, and his soul conscious couldn't see through that dark light. It was like he was being restrained in a pitch-black prison. His sight, sense of hearing and touch, and his soul consciousness were all covered. Just with his first move, the third sky of Spirit Realm Warrior could frighten Shi Yan. Now he knew that he couldn't deal with a character at such level at the moment. Anyway, he had thought that Nu Lang would have confined him before he had come here, so he wasn't surprised. Staying inside this black halo, he sat down cross-legged, concentrated his mind, and let his thoughts sink into the halo of memories. It was the entire life experience of a spirit-level blacksmith. During this time, whenever he had free time, he would sink his mind into it, trying his best to comprehend the refining methods. Flows of thought moved in there, projecting some scenes of the precious refining process. He was making progress quietly as he had a deeper knowledge about refining treasures' method and techniques day by day. Time flew. It was unknown how long he had been in there. All of a sudden, he realized that the dark halo covering him had disappeared. Light shone again. Shi Yan opened his eyes, looking forward. He found that all the scarlet flame crystals inside the magma pond had been burnt into ashes. The heaven flame bobbing above the magma pond sent him a message. He has refined a trident by melting precious metals and ores. Although he didn't use any formations or spells, it's cumbersome. Such a weapon is very extraordinary. Shi Yan nodded slightly. The earth flame turned into a bunch of flames and disappeared into the blood vein ring. He nosed out some signs, then shifted his gaze at Nu Lang, who was sitting above the magma pond. He smiled. "Congratulations." Nu Lang pouted his lips, then waved his hand and said, "Go." The Black Flood Dragon clan won't interfere the business in Barren City. All stays the same. "Precursor Nu Lang." Shi Yan took a deep breath, didn't leave but smiled and asked, "At present, the Endless sees a big mess. The Dark Dwellers and the Demon Dwellers are swaggering across the Yuan Luo and Kiara Sea areas, fighting against human warriors of the Endless Sea. The current situation's nothing but a deadlock. What do you think about it?" "What does it matter to me?" Nu Lang gave him a supercilious look and answered him impatiently. Who do you think will win at the end? The dark dwellers, the demon dwellers, or the warriors of the endless sea? Shi Yan was patient. Your cultivation base is exquisite and your visions wide. I guess you would have a thorough analysis of this case. Would you mind sharing it with me? I don't care who will win. As long as they are not going to stir up my seabed, I don't care. Nu Lang snorted. As if he wasn't interested in the activities above the sea. He coldly looked at Shi Yan. Kid, you've been probing. What do you want? Do you have the intention to go up there? Shi Yan darkened his face and asked him coldly. Light sparked and vanished in Nu Lang's eyes. He sneered, shook his head but didn't say anything. If I were you, the moment when the endless in chaos, I wouldn't be content with my lot on the seabed. Shi Yan said, I would keep close track of the situation up there and wait for the best chance to come. When the two tigers are biting each other, I could launch my attack, or I could always join one side and destroy the other to take the upper hand. Cruel light flared up from Nu Lang's eyes. You little brat, do you think I would do that? Shaking his head, Shi Yan said, I don't know. But if I were you, I couldn't rest my mind with the current situation. Anyway, the endless sea's still a big mess, while the seabed is steadily peaceful. As the once-in-a-blue-moon chance is right in front of you. If I were you, my mind couldn't help but be moved. Nu Lang stayed calm, didn't say anything. Goodbye! Shi Yan clasped his fist, greeted him. If you want to join any side, I hope you will consider the Yang family. Currently, although we are still weak, I think you'll soon see our Yang family's real competence. Then he left following the way he had come, without waiting for Nu Lang's answer. Nu Lang's eyes sparked an ominous light, coldly looking at Shi Yan, who was fading away. All of a sudden he burst out laughing. This kid has big guts and great ambition. Unfortunately, his power is still small. If Yang Tian Emperor came himself, I would still consider. But you aren't eligible, kid. Of course. Shi Yan couldn't hear his words. 3 spirit realm warriors of the Black Flood Dragon clan came out from the dark. They were looking at Shi Yan disappearing with astounded faces. Patriarch, this kid does have big guts. He dared to come here alone and even probe us to ask for joining us. Later on, he would become a character in the endless sea. Perhaps he could be like Chao Chiu Dao and Yang Tian Emperor, who could rule his own territory with force. A fat man from the Black Flood Dragon clan mused and said. Nu Lang nodded. He has wild schemes, and he seems not to care about the others. He doesn't respect the rules or care about races. This kid isn't afraid of receiving insults from others when he proposed to join with the sea tribes. In the eyes of people on the sea, the ones who join with other races are the ones who dare to do any cruel things. I didn't expect that he has this thought and came here himself. I'm surprised. When Yang Tian Emperor went to meet you that year, you wanted to join up with the Yang family and plan something toward the endless sea. Yang Tian Emperor had denied your proposal. He said that the two races couldn't get along well and that they couldn't exist in the same sea area. Yang Tian Emperor is racist. He believes that besides humanity, the other races are all aliens, and are not eligible to live with humans. The short, fat man of the Black Flood Dragon clan had his eyebrows slammed together as he snorted. Yang Tian Emperor was so stubborn when he said that as long as he's still in the endless sea, the sea tribes won't have a chance to leave the seabed and earn a living on the sea. Now that he's confined in the demon area, he can't even protect himself. And the Yangs suddenly have a brat that doesn't care about common sense. It's strange, but it's a pity that he isn't the head of the Yang family. His cultivation base is also weak. Otherwise, our patriarch could consider this business. Right, said another spirit realm warrior of the Black Flood Dragon clan. Human race doesn't want us. They think that we should live in the seabed. Anyway, they don't know that the sea tribes have many tribes. In fact, we also aim at the rich lands on the sea, and we do want to reside there. No matter it's Chao Chiu Dao, Yang Etian, or the leaders of other forces, they are all affected by this preconception. They all consider our sea tribes aliens, so it's hard for them to befriend with us. This kid is somehow special indeed. Nu Lang mused, then talked. Too bad his realm isn't high enough. Meanwhile, the Yang family is not as strong as it used to be. We will just ignore him then. Patriarch, he said that the Yang family would come back to the Endless Sea. I think there's some information we haven't gotten to know yet. Yes, this brat is that arrogant, so maybe he has some backup. Has Yang Tian Emperor escaped his restraint in Demon Area? Nu Lang's pupils shrank. He frowned. Why do we have to care about them that much? Just stay here, and we aren't going to interfere their business. Wait until they all engage in war, and then we will see what we can do. This is once in a blue moon chance. Although our ancestors couldn't achieve big in their lives, perhaps we can. The other 3 strong warriors also got incited as their eyes brightened. The sea tribes will not be content with their lots. Seems like we have to make our decision soon. After Shi Yan got out of the Black Flood Dragon clan, he looked at Li Feng with a stiff face and said, Nu Lang has big ambition. He will definitely not want to stay on the seabed and watch the fun. He's waiting for the chance to take the strong warriors of the sea tribes to attack the Endless Sea. Maybe he's waiting for both sides to engage in war, said Li Feng. Possibly. Shi Yan wore a solemn face, looking at the territory of the Black Flood Dragon clan, then sighed. The Black Flood Dragon clan is really intimidating. Added with the Water Scorpion tribe, the Silver Shark clan, and the Naga tribe, this force isn't weaker than the Dark Dwellers or the Demon Dwellers. They even have more advantages than the Dark Dwellers and the Demon Dwellers. They can attack or withdraw at ease. If the situation is not going on the desired track, they can always hide in the seabed. It's tough for us to deal with them undersea. Seems like the situation of the Endless Sea is getting more complicated. Li Feng beamed a wry smile. We can't stay on the seabed for long. Intelligence sent to Barren City is too slow. We're almost isolated, and we can't get a good grasp of the Endless Sea's situation as fast as we want. Shi Yan contemplated for a while, then spoke up again with serious visage. We have to go back to the Endless Sea earlier. Just let them stay at Barren City to control the place. Only if we go to the Endless Sea can we have chances to talk to the members of the Demon Area. I'm not able to make this decision. Li Feng shook her head. I'm going to talk to Big Uncle. 3 days later, Shi Yan came back to Barren City. When he saw Yang Zhuo, he said immediately, we can't always stay in Barren City. We need to go out. Why? Nu Lang has the wild schemes to invade the Endless Sea. He's waiting for a good chance. If we can't join Nu Lang, we can only spread this news as soon as possible. Some people will pay attention to him then. Chapter 459, Entourage of 8. Chapter 459, Entourage of 8. The most fearful thing is still to happen. Yang Zhuo's face darkened and stiffened. He breathed out cold air and then shook his head. The sea tribes always had their dark ambitions towards the Endless Sea. However, the warriors above the Endless Sea always stood guarding against them. Moreover, thanks to Chao Chiu Dao, Yang Etian, and your great-grandfather, the sea tribes haven't done anything just yet. But at present, since the Endless Sea's in chaos, Nu Lang has seen the opportunity once in a lifetime. Of course, he would try to stir everything up. Big Uncle, you've already known that the sea tribes wouldn't be content with their lot, right? Of course, they won't be content with their lots. Yang Zhuo's face was solemn. Thousands of years ago, the sea tribes had taken actions, but stopped after that big loss. That was a big and painful lesson to them. It made them know the big price to be paid to get to the land above the sea. After that battle, more than half of the elite force of the sea tribes was lost. Some small tribes even got extinguished. Afterward, they decided to withdraw completely. Thousands of years have gone, but they hadn't rebelled even once. But it's different now. Yes, it's different now. The dark dwellers and the demon dwellers have come to the endless sea, and your great-grandfather's imprisoned in the demon area. At this moment, if the sea tribes have ambitions, they would try to fulfill the goal their ancestors had set thousands of years ago. Yang Zhuo sighed grudgingly. It's a general trend. Seems like no force can stop the sea tribes. Thus, if we continue staying in Barren City, it's not good at all. I'll arrange it like this. In the coming time, the Yangs will revive. We will leave a part here on the seabed, and the others will come up to the sea in groups. Xia Qing Ho soon sent some messenger here. He said that if the Yang family comes to the sea, we can ask for help from the Xia family. Currently, Xia Qing Ho is the overlord of a part of the endless sea. If we have a good relationship with them, even if we have to deal with the martial spirit palace or the Penglai Holy Land, we still have time to solve the dispute. Yang Zhuo thought for a while, then spoke to him. Don't overthink. You should rest for some days. I'll arrange this. Then, we're going back to Endless Sea. Great. Sure, Yen went to the vault. Looking at that radiant piles of materials in front of him, he felt grudging and tired all of a sudden. Although he had progressed fast in cultivating, he was still far behind the strong warriors like Chao Qiu Dao or Yang Yitian. Qi Yan, Bo Sun, and the Yama Kings were all earth-shaking warriors. Currently, he couldn't fight with them. And now came Nu Lang, an ambitious and tyrannically strong warrior. In front of them, he could see his power was much weaker. I have to reach a higher level as soon as possible. Taking a deep breath, he sat down neatly in the vault and started to think about how to increase his power faster. However, it was tough for any warrior in Sky Realm to thrive more. Each time the cultivation base leaped up, it required abundant profound qi and a flash of realization of the realm. He didn't need to worry about the profound qi. With the mysterious martial spirit, it was simple to have more profound qi, killing more people and absorbing the negative energies from the fiercest battlefield. It was easy to get more profound qi. However, gaining realization regarding the realm had no way to be found. He had to experience and observe the powers of earth and firmament to have a chance for a good grasp of the mystical features of the most inner essence in there. No one could help him with this requirement. If he couldn't comprehend his realm, no matter how much profound qi he could accumulate, it was useless and couldn't help him to increase his strength. Sher Yen frowned, looking at the cultivating materials on the ground and the 2 rings on his fingers. Light sparkled from his eyes as his mind flickered fast. He eyed the blood vein ring. Suddenly his eyes brightened. It had been long since he had last attacked the wall of force inside the blood vein ring. The ways to use the 2 most evil, eccentric powers were the rampage and the life and death seal. He got them from the blood vein ring when he had broken through new realms. When his power had reached a certain level, if he used all of his power to attack the wall inside the blood vein ring, it could work. At present, he had actually entered the sky realm, which meant his cultivation base wasn't bad. It was time to attack the blood vein ring again. Making up his mind, he didn't hesitate. He quieted down his mind and then started to gather the power of the entire body. Profound qi in the qi ancient tree at his lower abdomen was urged, moving rapidly in his veins and tendons. Wherever the profound qi traveled through under his urge, it brought together the energy of that organ to mix with it and help him increase his power. Gradually, the profound qi was like a torrential stream running in his body. He felt a pain in his meridians, as he could feel his profound qi accelerating to a terrifying level. Complete focus. His qi condensed into a bunch of light beams, guiding the enormous energy in his body to turn into a column of fierce light, banging hard on the energy wall inside the blood vein ring. Thump! An odd echo resounded from the energy barrier inside the blood vein ring. It seemed a layer or membrane had been poked through. A strange memory electric current stormed out, flooding his brain. The red halo of the blood vein ring covered the entire vault. Bizarre, vague scenes were projected inside the red halo. It was some area on the seabed covered with bones of beasts. 5-colored seawater was rumbling. The beast skeletons, they were all dozens of meters tall, even taller than the main building of the Yang family. This was the first time he had ever seen such giant beast skeletons. Even the black flood dragon he saw in the black flood dragon clan was 1 grade smaller than the beasts in this scene. There was a 300-meter dragon skeleton. The bones were numerous and dense like a small mountain. This was really dreadful to watch for ordinary people. A strange halo was twinkling inside that massive skeleton. In the vague halo he could see a coffin. Lao Luo's dark body, one of the bloodthirsty's entourage of 8. A stirring thought shot out, flooding his brain. From the blood vein ring, a current of strange memory electric had ambushed him, unceasingly sending him thoughts along with the scenes appearing in the blood vein ring. That bizarre memory electric current seemed to have a close relationship with the scene projected in the blood vein ring. As the blood vein ring was continually blinking, that electric current was gradually releasing the miraculous description of these scenes. Lao Luo's dark body. Sure, Yen discolored, watching the scene with a dumbfounded face. His heart was filled with surprise, not knowing what was going on as he was gazing at the 300-meter dragon skeleton and the coffin lying within it. The antiquity lofty dragon graveyard, one of bloodthirsty entourage of 8. The dark body of Lao Luo. The thought in his head described the scene one more time. The immense light from the blood vein ring started to cease, and the scenes inside its red halo were fading away. Everything restored to the normal states. The strange light sparkled on the blood vein ring for a short while and then stopped. The blood vein ring became normal. The shocking energy waves are really strong. The ice-cold flame sent him a message from the blood vein ring. It looks like the skeleton of the antiquity lofty dragon in the scene. What happened? The antiquity lofty dragons had been vanished for a long time ago, hadn't they? What kind of ring is your ring? Antiquity lofty dragons. Sure, Yen was startled and couldn't help but probe. Do you know the antiquity lofty dragons? Yeah, the antiquity lofty dragon was the royal family of the dragon tribe in the ancient time. As the black flood dragons were a kind of dragon beasts, according to the legends, they were the descendants of the antiquity lofty dragons. In the ancient times, the size of the antiquity lofty dragon was extraordinarily enormous, like hundreds of meters. They were terrifyingly strong, the royals of the dragon tribe. Each lofty dragon was astoundingly mighty, as they had the cultivation base of a spirit realm warrior. Extreme lofty dragon could have the competence of a true god realm warrior. I heard that the lofty dragons in the ancient time were the overlords of the Grace mainland sea areas. They even occupied many caves or big rivers on the land over the sea. In their prosperous time, their overall competence could be compared with other strong alien tribes. Later on, in the great war between tribes, the lofty dragon tribe was sealed in some area. All of them withered, and no one has seen them ever since. Anything else you know about the lofty dragons? I'm not a human. During the antiquity time, I was still dormant deep inside the glacier. I don't know much of the events during that period. However, at that time, the lofty dragons were truly a tyrannical tribe. They were the royals of the dragon tribe. I also heard that they had ruled most of the beasts. Super strong for sure. Sure Yan's countenance changed slightly, as the pictures he had just seen popped up in his mind. The dark body of Lao Luo, what is it? Lao Lu was one of Bloodthirsty's entourage of 8. What is Bloodthirsty? Apparently, entourage of 8 is the group of 8 servants. As Lao Luo was one of them, were there 7 more? Is that bloodthirsty something the previous master of the blood vein ring? If so, what were the cultivation realms of these 8 servants? Dark body? Is it just a clone of Lao Luo, just like the White Bones clone of Demon King Bosen? If Lao Luo were a dark body hidden inside a coffin under the skeleton of the Antiquity Lofty Dragon, would it still be useful in that coffin? Suspicions arose continuously in his head, making sure Yen confused. Since he had had the blood vein ring, he always paid attention to it. Yet, apparently, he couldn't know the subtle features of the ring. Since the blood vein ring could store creatures with mysterious lives like the ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, the earth flame, the king of demonic insects, and the devouring gold silkworm, it was much more mysterious than any kinds of storage ring. The giant mystical sword was related to the blood vein ring, too. That sword could destroy the hardest defense with its tremendous, fluctuating evil energy. Seemed like it was a sacred level treasure. All sorts of signs proved that this blood vein ring was obviously something extremely mysterious. Perhaps it had some connection with the bloodthirsty indeed. There was a clone of a servant of the bloodthirsty hidden under the skeleton of the lofty dragon, and the lofty dragons of the dragon tribe lived in the antiquity time. Was it true that bloodthirsty came from the antiquity time? It took him half a day for figuring out nothing about the reasons. He only felt that every detail related to it was doubtful. Shaking his head, Shi Yan was utterly confused. He didn't want to think about it more. Came out from the vault and found Yang Zhuo. Big uncle, do you know the graveyard of the Antiquity Lofty Dragon on the seabed? Yang Zhuo discolored, trembling. He asked Shi Yan with fear, "How do you know about the Antiquity Lofty Dragon graveyard? Did Nu Lang tell you that?" Chapter 460, Silverstone Fort. Chapter 460, Silverstone Fort. Not Nu Lang. I got it from the ice-cold flame. There's something I need in the Antiquity Lofty Dragon graveyard. I want to go and see. You can't. All of a sudden, Yang Zhuo paled while shaking his head constantly. Absolutely shouldn't do that. The Antiquity Lofty Dragon graveyards the restricted area on the seabed. Throughout thousands of years, no warrior of the sea tribes has ever come out alive from there. In the legends, there are treasures that the lofty dragons had collected in that forbidden area. It has attracted numerous hotshots from the sea tribes, but I have never heard of anyone who could actually find them. As far as I've known, all had buried their bodies all together in the dragon's tomb. Is that a strange place? I think that Nu Lang wanted to harm you when he told you about the Antiquity Lofty Dragon graveyard. Yang Zhuo wore a serious face and said with a low tone, "In short, you should never go there. Let alone your Sky Realm cultivation base. Even the God Realm warriors couldn't escape alive. Nu Lang has the cultivation base at Third Sky of Spirit Realm, but he doesn't dare to peep in the place." Shi Yan's complexion changed. "Why do you want to go there?" "There's something essential to me. I want to go there." "Don't go, and don't you ever mention this again." Yang Zhuo continuously shook his head to refuse. Seemed like he was absolutely terrified of that lofty dragon's forbidden area. As Shi Yan saw his determination, he didn't repeat the matter, but shifted the topic and asked whether he had arranged everything or not. Yang Zhuo hid something in this matter too. He told Shi Yan that several days after he had arranged things in Baron City, he would leave the city together with Shi Yan. Shi Yan nodded and didn't say anything further. Then he left the Yang family's house alone. Afterward, he came to the tavern in the city. The shopkeeper and the waiter greeted him with friendly faces. They served him food and good wine even before he could have time to order. "You're really awesome," the waiter said with admiration. "After you left, the Yang family sent someone to collect the fee. I told them what you said to us. Indeed, they didn't argue with us, and said that they would no longer come here for collecting the tax." The waiter had his eyes brightened as he said with low tone, "Are you really Shi Yan? The one who killed Ming Hai and got the approval from the water scorpion tribe, Baowen and Baoku? Yeah. The young waiter's eyes got brighter. His face was getting more excited. From now on, when you want a drink, come to us. Haha. I think the shopkeeper won't take your money. Right, sir? Little brother, we didn't recognize MT Taishan. We didn't know that you are Shi Yan. If we offended you, please forgive us, smiled the shopkeeper. You are being too polite, Shi Yan smiled, shook his head, then said, Shopkeeper, you're doing business in Baron City. I guess you're familiar with the situation here, right? I have something I want to ask you. May I? Little brother, you shouldn't be too polite. The smile on the shopkeeper's face widened. He slightly bent his body and said, You can ask for sure. As long as we know it, we will tell you all together. We won't hide any small details, either. Have you ever heard about the antiquity lofty dragon graveyard? Ah. The shopkeeper changed his visage to a more surprised one. He raked his eyes to his side. After he could confirm that no one was there, he asked hurriedly, Why do you ask this? As Shi Yan saw the other change his attitude, he felt this could work immediately and said, I'm interested in some rumors on the seabed. I've just come here, and I want to know more about the seabed situations and gain more knowledge. That's why I asked you. If you know and you aren't afraid, please do tell. Ah. The shopkeeper relaxed his complexion when he knew the other was just curious. The antiquity lofty dragon graveyard is the mysterious forbidden place in the seabed. Thousands of years have passed, and so many strong warriors undersea want the lofty dragon's treasure. They went and probed over the years. Unfortunately, as far as I've known, no one came back alive. Seems there's something really intimidating, which killed everyone who dared to go in. The information he provided wasn't much different from Yang Zhue's, as they had just mentioned how terrifying that antiquity lofty dragon graveyard was and how many famous warriors of the sea tribes had died there. They all said that the place wasn't a place that warriors should visit. Since the area was protected by God, anyone who entered would be punished by God. Do you know where it is exactly? Sure, Yan went around the bush, then came back to his main purpose. People said that it's under the vault of Heaven's Sea area, but I'm not sure about the exact location. Only someone who has gone there could know, but they are all dead. The shopkeeper shook his head and sighed. The lofty dragons were the overlord of all kinds of beasts undersea. Of course, their graveyard won't be ordinary. It should have unimaginable dangers. No visitors can escape death. Oh, Shi Yan nodded and mused for a while, then said, After I leave in 2 more days, please come to the Yang family and tell them I'm going to the vault of heaven to find some stuff. Tell the master of the Yangs in Baron City, Yang Zhue. Are you going to the antiquity, lofty dragon graveyard? The shopkeeper and the young waiter were flurried all of a sudden. Help me deliver the message. Don't ask too much. Sure, Yen smiled, left a crystal, and then turned into a beam of light shooting towards the vault of Heaven's Sea area. Boss! The young waiter was worried and said hurriedly, If he goes to the lofty dragon's forbidden area, he can't come back alive. I think we shouldn't wait longer. We should tell the master of the Yangs now. Yes, I'm going to the Yang families. The shopkeeper was in a hurry, too. He answered the young waiter, then left. 15 minutes later, Yang's face darkened. He continuously shook his head and muttered, Why did he not listen to my advice? Why is he so stubborn? Young men who don't listen to old men would suffer a huge loss. Shi Yan, you kiddo, do you think that you can be lucky forever? 7 days later, Shi Yan arrived at a sea area under the vault of Heaven's Sea area. The seawater there was crystal clear blue. Fish were moving in schools, and beasts could be seen here and there. At first, he had just met low-level beasts at level 3 or 4. The closer he got to the vault of Heaven's Sea area, the higher the level of the beasts was. Searching this sea area for a while, he still hadn't found the lofty dragon graveyard. But he ended up having some conflicts with some daring beasts. Beasts at level 6 and 7 weren't his match now. Facing Yen, their only consequences were to be skinned and their demon crystals be taken. After spending several days under the vault of Heaven Sea area, he still had nothing. Without the exact direction, it seemed not easy at all to find the antiquity lofty dragon's graveyard. Today, he saw a giant fort built with silver stone. Many members of the sea tribes were working and living in there. His eyes brightened. He wanted to enter the city. Walking around the fort for a while, he found out that the sea tribes members inside the fort were mostly from the Silver Shark clan. Yen stopped a member of the Jade Clam tribe outside the fort. Among the tribes of the sea tribes, the Jade Clam tribe was one of the weakest. Members of the Jade Clam tribe had a giant shell on their back, just like the turtles. Their fleshy body was in between the shells. People said that their cultivating process was arduous. None of the Jade Clam tribe's member had ever reached the spirit realm. This Jade Clam's member was a young female. She looked pretty with red lips and white teeth. After she was blocked by Yen, she didn't fluster, just frowned at him coldly and said, "Human, why do you come to the Silver Stone Fort? Don't you know that the Silver Stone fort's the Silver Shark clan's territory? You damn human, bet you're planning to mess up with our sea tribes." "I'm telling you, Hui, the patriarch of the Silver Shark clan, is in the Silver Stone Fort now. Death is a certain consequence if you dare to provoke us here." "Silver Stone Fort," frowned Yen. He had heard from Li Feng that the Silver Shark clan's territory had been divided into some parts. The Silver Stone Fort was just one of them. It was the place where an elder of the Silver Shark clan cultivated. Many weak tribes were living around the Silver Stone Fort, and the Jade Clam tribe was one of them. Those tribes didn't have warriors strong enough to protect the tribes. Their life was a little bit difficult, so they had to depend on stronger tribes like the Silver Shark clan. Every year, they had to offer the Silver Shark clan massive wealth to receive the protection from the stronger tribe. That was how they could survive on the seabed. Hui staying in the Silver Shark Fort. Scared now. The female member of the Jade Clam tribe sneered, then said arrogantly, "You'd better get out of here as soon as possible. The seabed isn't a place where human warriors could poke your nose in. Harumph, Silverstone Fort is Crew's cultivating place. He's the elder of the Silver Shark clan, and he has just entered the spirit realm. Patriarch we came here to congratulate him. Many strong warriors of the sea tribes are gathering in the Silverstone Fort, too. If you dare to provoke us, I'm sure you'll see enough." This member of the Jade Clam tribe had a shallow cultivation base, but her tone was cold and arrogant. She was using the connection with the Silver Shark clan to intimidate Yen, so she didn't fear. Yen burst out laughing, but he didn't quarrel with her. He contemplated, then said, "Me too, I'm going to cheer for Elder Crew. Shall we go together? I don't walk the same road as humans." The female member of the Jade Clam tribe rolled her eyes, threw him a malicious look, put on the serious face, and crossed him, swimming towards the Silverstone Fort. Yen shook his head and smilingly followed her. "Humans, stop." He hadn't even approached the Silverstone Fort gate when a member of the Silver Shark clan shouted, pointing his weapon at him. He seemed to ready fight Yen at any minute if the other didn't follow his words. "I've told you, humans like you can't enter the Silverstone Fort." The Jade Clam tribe's member mocked him, then chinned up, entering the Silverstone Fort. Chapter 461, The Sea Races Banquet. Chapter 461, The Sea Races Banquet. "Human, get back to where you came from. We, people of the Silverstone Fort, do not welcome mankind." A member of the Silver Shark clan snorted coldly with a displeased face at the gate of the Silverstone Fort. People of the Silver Shark clan had a shark fin on their back. This was the signature of the Silver Shark clan. Besides this fin, they didn't look much different from humans. People said that the Silver Shark clan had been evolved from sharks. That's how they had the fin, the signature of their kind. Among the other clans in the ocean, the Silver Shark clan was almost as strong as the Black Flood Dragon race, one of the strongest races in the sea. Silver Shark's people were born with a sense of superiority. Unless they were facing the Black Flood Dragon clan, they were always haughty in front of the members from other sea tribes. This little guard wasn't an exception when he was talking arrogantly to Shi Yan. Sure, Yin came here this time to find Yin Hui to ask for something related to the ancient lofty dragon's graveyard. As the Silver Shark clan was situated in this area, being the patriarch of the race, Yin Hui must know the exact location of that ancient lofty dragon's graveyard. Compared to searching alone with no clues, it had better ask someone who might know. I come from Barren City, a member of the Yang family. I heard that Precursor Crew has entered the spirit realm, so I came here to congratulate him. Please report. Oh yeah, your patriarch Yin Hui and I have met once. I hope that you guys would give me a chance to praise Precursor Crew. Shi Yan held a smile on his face, handing out a small purse, which kept 10 pieces of good profound chi crystal. A female member of the Jade Clam race couldn't hold her despising look seeing him bribe the guard. It's true that humans are all cunning indeed. The guard of the Silver Shark clan estimated the value of the purse and then changed his manner to be friendlier. However, he still had to keep his face. Human, are you lying to me? Even if you're a member of the Yang family, you're not eligible to meet my patriarch. However, as you know the situation, I'll let you in. Then he stepped aside to give way for Shi Yan to enter the city. It seemed that profound chi crystals could be the pass to anywhere. This guy from the Silver Shark clan received Shi Yan's bribe, couldn't help but fall into the same track and open the convenient door for him. Villain. As Shi Yan just passed through the gate, the female member of the Jade Clam race cursed. Humans are all cunning. You didn't embarrass your kind. You're truly a villain. Shi Yan ignored her, raised his eyebrows, and passed her over to get into the Silver Stone Fort. Members of the rare sea tribes like the Whelks, the Mare People, the Saber Teeth, all were living inside the Silver Stone Fort. Many members of the sea tribes had low cultivation bases, such as Nascent, Human, and Disaster Realm. They were gathering freely at a corner in the Silver Stone Fort to talk about the significant issues in the ocean or the secrets of their own races. Shi Yan suddenly burst out laughing. After listening attentively for a while, he found out that the focus of their talks was him. These sea tribes members were gathering and talking about the event of Barren City and mentioning his name. When people of the sea tribes talked about him, their faces were stiff, as they knew there was a new ferocious slaughterer born among mankind. He was a brutal guy who liked to kill the sea tribes members, and that he had stirred up the human race and killed many members of the sea tribes. Those sea tribes members talked about him like a wicked beyond redemption, utterly unbearable villain. After a while, Shi Yan forced a smile, shook his head, and sighed. Members of the sea tribes didn't have a good impression of the human race naturally, just like the way they treated the Yang family. They would favor their members, and it was totally natural. Although the reputation of the water scorpion tribe wasn't good, it was a member of the sea tribes. As Shi Yan had hurt Bao Wen and subdued Bao Ku, in their eyes, Shi Yan was already their enemy. No matter what the truth was, they considered the water scorpion tribe the victim. He couldn't change the attitude of the sea tribes toward him. Discrimination would never be changed, even if it were in the endless sea, the underworld, or the demon area. Even if they wanted to change, it wouldn't happen. No warrior could utilize only his strength alone to convert the awareness of other races. Uniting all the races to one and living in peace in the same place was impossible. Shaking his head, Shi Yan didn't think about it furthermore. After walking one round in the Silver Stone Fort, he knew where Crew was, in the south of the Silver Stone Fort. Inside a spacious place around 100 acres in area were situated many oval silver stone buildings. Those buildings had strange shapes, which had been decorated with drawings of the sea monsters. When Yin came to that place, he took in the scene and suddenly shook his body, changing his appearance as a fin jutted out from his back. When he had entered the silver stone fort, if he still used the human appearance, it would be hard for him to get in Crew's place. Only if he had the appearance of the Silver Shark clan's members could he mingle with the others and get the chance to visit Crew. After his petrification martial spirit had reached the peak, his control over his body had also entered a subtle, mysterious realm. He only needed a flicker of a thought, and he could conveniently change his body, turning into another person's shape. Growing only a fin on the back wasn't a tough job to him. After he had transformed into the appearance of the Silver Shark clan's members, there was no strange look gazing on him along the way. Members of the weaker races like the Jade Clams, the Whelks, and the Mare people also showed respect to him. When he approached Crew's house, the Silver Shark guard only threw him a look, and when he found that Yin had the Sky Realm cultivation base, he didn't say anything and just let him go. Yin walked to the roomy court where Crew was holding his party. It was a lively scene of celebrating peace with songs and dance. Female members of the Jade Clams and the Whelk tribe were shaking their bodies, dancing on the stage made of coral. The Jade Clams and the Whelk tribes had average powers among the sea tribes, but their women were really good at dancing, as their moves were charming enough to shake people's mind. On that luxurious stage, 10 women from the Jade Clams and the Whelks were smiling, dancing like silk. Scattered around the stage were crystal tables. Those crystal tables had all the colors one could name. They were translucent and shimmering with a dreamy light. The best warriors from the sea tribes were sitting at the crystal tables, drinking good wine and enjoying the fine cuisine of the ocean. They also amused themselves with the performance on the stage while chatting with the others. The atmosphere was boisterous. Right at the middle, in front of all of them, stood a giant crystal table with an old silver shark man seated. His face was reddened because of the wine he took. He was talking and laughing with emotion as he was continually poured wine to a middle-aged silver shark man sitting next to him. That middle-aged man also had a shark fin on his back. Although he was sitting in his seat, an oppressing aura like a big mountain was spreading. The patriarch of the Silver Shark clan, Hui. At first glance, Yin knew right away that man was Hui. The old silver shark man with a long beard was the host of the party today, Crew. A young maiden was sitting next to him. Perhaps she was his daughter. She was also smiling and offering fine wine to Hui. Hui didn't deny her, just smiled and drank. Sometimes he gave the girl compliment as she was a beauty that would become the dazzling pearl of the Silver Shark clan. There were 10 crystal tables behind the table of Crew and Hui. Seated there were the hotshots of the sea tribes. There were members of the Black Flood Dragon clan, the Naga tribe, and the Water Scorpion tribe. The lowest cultivation base those people had was the Nirvana realm. Most of them were at the Sky realm. All were drinking too much and delivering their compliments to Crew and Hui. The atmosphere was warm and harmonious. Yin stood behind the stage, far away from the center of the feast. He frowned, looking at Hui as he was considering what kind of excuse he could use to approach Hui and ask for the ancient lofty dragon graveyard. All of a sudden, a familiar aura got to him from behind Hui and Crew, making his pupils shrink. Looking more attentively, he found 6 people wearing veils and covering all their bodies, standing behind Hui and Crew. Apparently, the aura from 2 among them was really familiar to him. Chao Jilan, Panja. Yin was terrified. When he was in the demonic sound clan, he had planted a soul seed inside Chao Jilan and Panja souls. Although he had soon lifted the barrier, he was still familiar with their souls. In a certain range, he would be able to detect their existence and recognize them. The man and the woman wearing the veil there were absolutely Chao Zhilan and Panja, the most outstanding young leader of the Chao family and the Penglai Holy Land's future successor. The two prominent youths of the Endless Sea appeared at the territory of the Silver Shark clan and in Crew's house. What was going on? Shi Yan's face darkened as suspicions filled his heart. While he was coldly looking at Chao, Zhilan, and Panja, he changed his appearance in silence. After a while, his cheeks were much thinner as his sockets became deeper. That made him look more ferocious and malicious. Both Chao Zhilan and Panja had known him. If those two saw him, they could know his identity right away. For the moment, he didn't want to expose himself. He wanted to hide and observe what Panja and Chao Zhilan were up to. Hey! As Yin Hui was talking with Crew, he suddenly shouted, shifting his look towards him as sharp as lightning. Yin Hui's look suddenly became colder, looking at him from a distance. He was wearing a cold smile, but still waving at Shi Yan. Shi Yan discolored. I didn't expect that we will have a friend from far away. Ha! You're considerate indeed. Yin Hui smiled as his eyes were as bright as a torch, crossing through the hotshots of the sea tribes to gaze at him. Yin Hui had seen through his disguise. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.